I think the movie's great, and we can have different, we have different viewpoints on it. That's fine.
Absolutely. You know what? We will. We totally will. And hey, Raul, good to have you here. Remember, a great way to support this show, everyone, is by hitting that subscribe button, hitting the bell to let you know when we are on the air, and of course, the Super Chat always helps out as well. So if you feel like Super Chatting, Super Chat away and support our store on the SOR Vault on our website. Yes, here we go, everyone, in 5 seconds. I'm pumped up. You should be too, because we are in for one hell of a good night with Lorien Fenton. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, we have them free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. When it comes to the strange and weird, there's no one better than our guest tonight. And if you're a lover of all things woo, then be prepared for Lorien Fenton. Lorien is a dear friend and mentor of mine in this business. Her personal experiences and contacts are of legendary status. She's a member of MUFON. She has helped people who claim to be super soldiers. She's an experiencer and a digital talk radio show host. Lorien has some of the best conferences around North America on topics from UFOs to JFK. Tonight, she shares her Fenton perspective. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Lorien Fenton, it is always a pleasure to have you on the show. How are you, my friend?
Hey, I'm doing great. Now, who's this Chive organization? I just got to ask you quickly, because the minute you said that, I started thinking of little green onions dancing on a pizza. So what do these guys do?
They are a website called thechive.com. And they, for years, have kind of, they call themselves probably the best website in the world. And, they have a men's side that's called the Chive. They have a female side that's called the Berry. And, they just put up a bunch of memes, a bunch of pictures. And it really is just useless entertainment that's just all innocent and fun. But they started this charity a number of years ago called Chive Charities. And the reason why we support them is because, literally, every dollar that is donated to them goes straight to the charity. There's no money going to different organizations or to executives or anything like that. Everything that's donated is going to help people. And that's what I love about them. That's why we support them.
That is really cool. I love that too. I wish I could do that. I wish I could have people donated and only went to charities. That'd be the day, huh? But, that's wonderful. I'm really, really glad they're doing it. I'm going to check them out, and maybe I'll get them, start sponsoring them on my network as well, because I have not run into an organization that is doing just that. That's really awesome. So I'm very excited about that. Cool.
Yeah, I'm excited about it too.
So where do you want to start tonight? I got a whole list of things I want to talk about. I want to talk about Contactees and the disclosure events that are going on. And I want to talk about the movie The Phenomenon. And, oh, my God,
let's get right into The Phenomena right off the bat, okay? Because, for people who don't know, this is an amazing film/documentary put together to talk about UFOs, disclosure. And James Fox put it together, and he's done probably the best job that's out there telling the story. Now, for us people who do this every day, there isn't a lot of news All right, that's probably, I don't want to say my biggest complaint about it, but there isn't a lot of news that is really new. Basically, this is a type of documentary that you show to your friends who are non-believers to take a look at the phenomena to see what is really going on. So what's your thoughts on James Fox's The Phenomena?
Okay, first of all, off the bat, I was one of the few people that were invited to his pre-screening at a theater in Sonoma County back about 6 months. Gosh, maybe this was before COVID, I think, right before COVID. And Jacques Vallée was there, James was there, UFO Jim, who's one of the executive producers, was there. And they talked about, before the movie even started, they talked about how they were forming it and putting it together for people not UFO people, so they would understand that this is real. They knew they wouldn't be able to grasp okay, how can I put this? How they wouldn't be able to grasp the Stan Romanek type of story, because they never could. I mean, Stan's got one of the most amazing UFO movies out there, made by J3 Productions, and it's actually showing you real aliens, and people, they can't accept that they're real aliens. All of the contactees look at that and go, "Oh yeah, those are the guys that hang out in my house, right?" I mean, we all go, "Oh yeah, hi buddy," and other people look at that and go, "Oh, that's fake. They made a model, they put it at the back door, or they popped a rubber head up in the window, or they did whatever," and people just didn't accept it as being real. They thought it was a giant fake-o movie. Now, I know the guys who made the movie, and you do too. It's Lori Wagner and Jack and John and all those guys over at J3 Films. They would never have faked a movie ever in their entire lives. And they got so much flack for making that movie and producing it. I'm surprised they survived it.
That movie actually came out shortly after Romanek was arrested and convicted of child pornography. Which is
no, that is not true. The movie actually came out before, but
it went to Netflix afterwards.
It went to Netflix after. That is correct. It was premiered in 2013 in Florida in May, because Stan was supposed to be at my conference speaking that year, and he couldn't do it because John and Jack and him and the gang were down in Florida at a Sundance festival in Florida kind of thing, premiering the movie the same weekend. So it just was bad luck for me, but great luck for them. They premiered the movie, and here's what happened before that movie that most people don't know. And I was sworn to secrecy about all this stuff, but you know what? Since Stan has been totally vilified, I've decided to speak out about it. Before that movie happened, right like 2 weeks before it premiered in Florida, Stan got a phone call from a non-identifiable person, and basically they said, "We're going to shut down your movie and it'll never see the light of day," basically is what they said. And he took it as a threat, and of course within, I think, 6 months after that or a year after that, the pornography thing started. But what people don't also know is that the pornography thing didn't start because of the movie. It was because of his relationship with certain people in the UFO community. He decided he wasn't going to deal with anybody anymore, and they didn't like that, and I think that's why he got taken down. It's because he wouldn't play ball with them anymore. Well, and that's my personal opinion, but I got a funny feeling I'm right.
You know what? The one thing I think, Stan hurt himself. And I think, let alone the horrific charges that were brought against him. Okay, whether those were trumped up charges or whether those were actual reality charges. Let's not make light of the fact, because children, one way or another, are involved. Yeah. So, but the one thing that I know about this situation is Stan, like a lot of other experiencers, had the tap turned off. And, it was easy to see where he was making up phenomena. The one video on Skype where he's seen throwing a pen in the air and it coming down on him. And, so, I mean, that just reeks of ego and everything. Now I will say this. I will, as critical as I am about the man, I will say this as well. When it comes to the experiences, like having the alien at the window, I know that firsthand. I know what that's like firsthand.
Absolutely.
And I believe that is a true video. I truly do. Or the one he calls Grandpa in the house. I believe that is completely real. Otherwise, for a lot of it, I don't know. I don't know near the end, the latter experiences, I'm not sure.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that, but I do know that the aliens were real. And every contactee, as you and I both know, knows they're real. Like I said at the very beginning of the spiel, we look at that and we all go, oh, yeah, those are the guys in my house, right? So we all know. But what they did, and they craftily did this, by accusing him of these charges, they made him unbelievable to anybody who might even consider the thought that something in that movie was real.
Absolutely.
And that just ruined everything for all of us. And they knew that. Whoever did this, whoever created this phenomenon, as far as the child pornography stuff, whether it was real or not. Now, if he had 3 pictures of naked kids on there, hey, then he deserves to get what he got, okay? But I'm not convinced. I'm just not convinced. And the reason I'm not convinced is because that computer was not even in the house when they raided him. It was at the repair shop. And there were other adult males in the house at the time. And that's all I'm going to say. So, there's just so many pieces to this that are just not right for me. And this is something that the UFO community has forgotten. There were 3 other guys that they've taken down over the years with the same kind of charges, and these people never did anything. And we know they didn't do anything. And so they seem to head that way with the guys that they want to get rid of in the UFO community that are spouting the truth. If you don't go along with the program that's set out for you as a major contactee, then maybe they're just going to decide they don't need you anymore, and then they ruin your life. And I think that's just crazy that we're allowing this to happen as contactees here in the community, that we haven't called these, that we're starting to figure out who the people are behind the curtain now. So maybe we need to start, figuring out a way to figure out what they're up to as far as individual contactees. I don't think it'll ever happen, but it's a thought, and I would like to see it happen. I would like to see these guys, called out for what they've done to people over the years. Wendell Stevens, that whole game, I couldn't even believe what they pulled on that poor man. And this is long ago history, but anyhow, it's let's get back to the movie. I'm just saying that movie in itself was the true facts and real things were in that movie, and they've taken them away from the public by saying this guy's a problem. And I think it backfired because it did get up on Netflix. J3 Films got it up on Netflix, and it is one of the most watched UFO contact movies in history on Netflix. So I'm really proud of them for doing that. And you guys, you wouldn't believe what they went through after Stan got arrested. It was almost the ruining of their careers. And I feel so bad for them, but they've made a rebound. They did a great job. They've got it up on Netflix. Everybody gets to see that and make their own mind up. So, thank God for that. Now, back to Phenomenon. When we were in the theater and they were talking about how they were crafting it for the regular public, which is wonderful. I'm really glad they did. I applauded that because it's time that happens too. Because we've got this whole problem, and everybody else sees it as a good thing. I see it as a slight problem. We've got all these alien and UFO movies out there and all these documentaries about UFOs, and part of it's CGI. The problem we've got is people are starting to believe in things that don't really exist for contactees, and they're not going to the contactees for the real information. They're going to the people like To the Stars Academy to get their information, and all they're going to give you is, well, we saw lights in the sky, we saw a ship, we saw this thing, we don't know what it is, and it was there and it was real. Hey, we were at that point 30 years ago. You know, I mean,
Well,
if they're
let me
doing
ask
it,
you about
yeah,
that for a
go ahead.
second, because I know this is one of those interviews where we are going to jump all over the place. There is real no schedule to this when Lorien and I hook up on the air. To the stars, Lorien, one of the things that we have been told through a number of years, and we will get back to the phenomena, but for a number of years we have been told you can't trust the spooks in this field. You can't. They will lead you astray. Yet, here we are 2.5 years into, or almost, yeah, I guess 3 years now into the To the Stars Academy, 3 videos in, no more, and the spooks are saying, trust us. We have your best intention at heart.
Yeah, and don't trust what you're seeing, because it could be horrible for national security, and you should be fearful of it. I mean, they're thinking. I don't know. I don't know. The whole thing to me is crazy. And as I tell everybody, when I watch To the Stars Academy in action, I'm seeing a well-crafted CIA operation in play. Hey, and God bless them for doing it. If that's what they need to do for the regular people out there to keep them from freaking out about finding out about it, because they did a really well-crafted television show. They brought in all the experts. They brought in all the military. They brought in all the, the colonels and generals. They brought in all these people that were, serving our country and seeing UFO activity. Okay, and the pilots and the whole bit. And I think that's wonderful. And it's perfect for people like my father who still don't, my father's seen UFOs. He still doesn't want to believe. I mean, he just doesn't want to believe, because if it does, it's going to ruin his whole paradigm of his life. And we've got a lot more people who don't want to believe than we have people who don't know and kind of do want to believe. We have more people that know it's real and are in denial, I think, nowadays, than we have people that just don't believe it's real. And I think that's where they're coming from. I think they're playing this whole thing towards people who go, yeah, I know it's real, but, do I really want to go there? Because if I do, I have to admit to myself that maybe something has happened to me, or maybe something has happened to my family, or, whatever. So they're playing on that fear part, which really bothers me, because if you talk to every contactee I talk to, yes, they are in fear a lot of times when the aliens are in the room. There is a big thing about your body just going into this whole fear-like reaction to seeing a gray alien standing 6 inches away from your face. And it's built into our DNA to be afraid of that alien. But is that alien eating you? I mean, that's the real problem. It's not like a grizzly bear who's going to chomp down and take you out for lunch. They're contacting you and they're making communication with you. And most of your long-term contactees, like Whitley Strieber, the names are not here tonight, but basically like Whitley Strieber, they've come to the point where they realize these guys are communicating with me for a reason, or they wouldn't be talking to me. And that's why I've been still trying to write my book about aliens, alien contact, because the deal is here, folks, if you're a contactee, you have accepted the responsibility of communicating with them. If they've come back more than once, you've accepted it on some kind of deep spiritual level that you maybe not even are aware of yourself, or they wouldn't come back. Have you ever asked yourself that? I ask every contactee I know that question. Have they come back and you say yes? I say good. That means you have accepted them as a reality, as another dimensional being, or an angel, or a devil, or whatever you want them to be, but you're talking to them. You're having a relationship with them, and now you have a responsibility to figure out what they're trying to tell you so you can bring it back to Earth here on this planet at this time to give to humanity whatever that message may be. And people don't get that. People just get fearful. They get this, they get that. They get lost in translation about the whole thing, about what's going on with your contact with aliens. And I tell everybody this too, Dave. I've told you this. You've heard me say it a million times. Anybody can be a contactee. All you have to do is ask. But the problem is most people are so afraid of it that they ask, but they really don't want it to happen. It's a very deep spiritual connection you have with these ETs. How's your connection with Freddie or
Terrible.
Carl?
Yeah, I don't get anything from Carl.
Carl doesn't talk to you?
No, I get nothing. I get nothing.
You get nothing. Oh my God! See, now maybe that's just because you're not understanding what he's trying to tell you.
No, he's way far away right now. Way far away. That's how I know. I check in all the time. I do. Yes, I do.
Well, that's good. So you're not afraid of Carl, though?
No. I mean, I'll be honest with you. The last time I had contact with him, which was in 2017, 2018, somewhere around there, I literally was standing on my patio, and I'll tell you, my butt cheeks have never been so clinched so tight, just in case. Just in case. My butt looked good afterwards, but that's about it. But, the big thing with that is, contact is such a controversial idea because, it's the nightmares that get the press. The nightmares.
Oh, absolutely.
And as we got just under 3 minutes to go here before we go to break at the bottom of the hour, I can tell you this, for a lot of people out there, they don't want to hear the goodness. They don't want to hear, why they're being taken or when they're coming back. They don't want it to happen.
Yeah, that's true. I'm very different than most people. I laid down ground rules very early on. I had a feeling I wasn't going to be able to handle how they looked and how they smelled. And, I just wasn't going to be able to handle it too well. And I do know that I did this. I probably did it in my teens because I remember when I had a beautiful woman, the wall melted away in my bedroom and a beautiful woman came down a white, swirling, beautiful tunnel and started talking to me. I realized, man, she's so beautiful. And I was just like, oh, this is great. And it was all loving and an amazing conversation that I can't remember. I hate that. And I realized at that time I was telling them that I can't look at them the way they are. I need to see something gorgeous, beautiful, good looking, whatever, or nothing at all, which is absolutely fine with me. And I think I've said this story on the show before. I had two friends. One was a major contactee, and the other one was a kind of contactee. And one read romance novels. So every time she saw the aliens, they looked like Fabio, because this was the 80s. And the other one was a devout Christian, and she always saw Jesus Christ. And I learned from that experience that, I don't have to see grays. I don't have to see mantids. I don't have to see this unless I really want to. I can ask them to come to me as whatever I'd like them to be. And I've never had a problem. So I'm wondering if that is a thing that anybody else can control. And maybe we can talk about that after the break.
Oh, we're going to talk about a lot. We definitely are. We still got to finish up our conversation on the phenomena. It's a wild and wacky show every time you're on, Lorien.
Well, we never stay on one tangent, do we?
No.
We jump around, but we have a good time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we have a very good time, and that will continue tonight. Lorien Fenton, I got to tell you, is one of the best people who has ever supported this radio show. She's invited me to speak at a couple of her conferences down in San Francisco, and, she allows me to not make eye contact with her, though. That's the one rule she has. Do not make eye contact with Lorien.
No, that was Mick Jagger. I told you that story, didn't I?
Oh, yes. Yes, long ago. Long ago. But you know what? We love her around here, and we're going to continue this awesome conversation as we turn up the woo tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Lorien Fenton is our guest, the Fenton Perspective. Her website, LorienFenton.com, which I highly suggest you check out. Check out her podcasts as well. And she'll let us know where those are, and you can find them on our website as well. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. All right, we are clear.
Okay.
All right.
Why are you pointing up?
I was just, my cousin is watching tonight, so I figured I'd give him the good horns there. Rock and roll.
Now, who's the Toronto Maple Leafs player?
Oh, yeah. Well, we have a guy in the chat room named Paul Tavares, so I call him John Tavares.
Okay, and he's a player on the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Yeah, where your Joe Thornton went.
You're breaking up on me there. What was that?
Where your Joe Thornton went.
I know. Very interesting, huh?
Yeah, I didn't like that move on his part. If you want to win a cup, you don't go to Toronto. It's plain and simple.
No, you don't. They're the only ones who would take him. He's too old.
Oh, yeah. Well, a lot of those guys, they get nostalgic near the end of their careers because there's a big percentage of NHL players that were born and raised in Ontario and naturally became Maple Leaf fans. And so the nostalgia is go home and play in front of your parents, which could be your last season. Play in front of your parents, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins. If you're blessed enough to still have grandparents around, you want to, play in front of them, So, it's just the way it is.
Yeah, I don't think his family's from there, though. I thought he was an American.
No. Oh, Joe, where's Joe? He's totally Canadian.
Is he?
Oh, yeah.
Why do I think that?
He was drafted first overall in 1990 or 97, I believe.
It's 97, that's correct.
That's right. By the Boston Bruins. Then the big trade that sent, I believe it was Brad Stewart. Hold on. It was Brad Stewart, Marco Sturm.
Yes.
And there was one other player. Oh, who was that player?
Shoot.
Come
on, help me.
Hold on, I'll find it here.
Somebody will find it for us.
Yeah. I'll find it here. Hold on. Let's see. Mike O'Connell, Bruins. All right. Okay, the trade. Come on, give us a trade.
Yeah, the Thornton trade to the Sharks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Sturm, it was Stewart, and I wanted to say,
hold on, I believe it was a forward. It wasn't a defenseman.
I thought it was another defenseman.
Was it another defenseman?
Maybe not.
It was Kyle McLaren.
Kyle McLaren, that's right.
No.
Yeah.
Was it Kyle McLaren? No,
I think so.
No, Kyle McLaren was drafted by Boston.
Later.
He was traded from Boston to San Jose because he was a Boston draft pick as well.
That's right.
Let's just go to hockey.
Damn, I hate trying to remember years back like this. I got to start taking some kind of Alzheimer's drug. I got too many things to remember in my head from too many different areas.
Okay, here it is. It was a forward. Okay, it was November 30th, 2005. Thornton was traded with which sent forwards. I had Marco Sturm. I had Brad Stewart. I missed out on Wayne Primo.
Wayne Primo, shoot, that's right. He only played with us for a couple seasons. He wasn't a big, he wasn't there long.
Yeah, how does that trade break down, though? Let me just, let's see here. Who was the other? Yeah, so Thornton for the 3 players, so 4-player trade. Yeah, that's how it broke down.
Yeah. That was it. I remember.
And then Kyle McLaren. So Jolton Joe is born in St. Thomas, Ontario.
Oh, he was.
Yes.
But didn't his family move to America when he was young so he could play hockey?
No,
I'm not sure.
No, he's Canadian, hon. He's not going to go to the U.S. to play for Team Canada.
No, I know that, but I'm just thinking he was like 17 or 18 when he got drafted, and they all moved to Boston, I thought.
Well, the family moved to Boston after he was drafted number 1 overall. He had a horrible number. Wore number 6. Nobody good wears number 6 in the NHL. There's never been a high-quality number 6. Number 6 is originally...
No, that's not true.
Name a good number 6. Player who wore number 6.
I want to say... Didn't somebody from Chicago back in the day have 6? God, why is it evading?
No, 9 was the number to have. Now, number 6 was a defenseman's number.
Yes.
Which meant, now this is true, back in the day before you got all these stupid numbers in the NHL, Okay, back then, number 1 was your goaltender. Number 2 through 7 or 2 through 8 were defenseman numbers. So your top pairing would have, let's say, number 2 or 3, and it kind of went like that. And then your top forward got number 9. That's why Gordie Howe wore number 9.
Yes,
Bobby Hull wore number 9. Gretzky wore 99 because he couldn't get 9. Oh, here we go.
Right.
Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate the time. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue our lively conversation tonight with Lorien Fenton as we are into the Fenton files here, talking everything strange and weird. We're going to backtrack a little bit here. You know, do you recommend, Lorien, that people actually watch the phenomena? Is it worth the time and the money?
Oh, my God, yes. Oh, yes. I think it's one of the most fantastic movies out there, especially if you're not a big UFO historian like I am. I mean, I've been doing this a long time, and even the guys who are the historians, when we all get together, they laugh and they look at me and they go, "Do you remember what that crash was? Because I can't remember." And I'm like, "Oh, sure." And I'll just start rattling off crashes, you know, or UFO sighting, big events, and you know, and we just laugh because it's like I was ingrained into it. What I did when I was younger, when there was no internet, when I was looking into UFOs, I had to go to newspaper articles in different places, and I had to get like UFO magazine, and I had to find little UFO journals that were out in Southern California about the giant rock people. There was a whole plethora in the 60s and 70s of people that were offshoots of the giant rock era that started their own little UFO groups. And there was the not CUFOS, but the one that J. Allen Hynek started. And in order to get any information, they'd send out these printed on Xerox copy machine newsletters that you used to have to pay like $20 a year to get. And those were how we did it back then. There was no UFO magazine until the 90s. And you know, I'd have to go to newspapers and find obscure UFO books at the library, and I have to have them ordered for me. And basically what these books were at the time was stories of different kind of encounters, or maybe 6 stories of UFO sightings and events with people. The Betty and Barney Hill thing was big for me because that was one of the first ones ever really reported. And then the Andreasen case came along. And then there was, you know, just all these historic UFO contactees. And then when Whitley Strieber came along, was it 78 or 79? I can't remember, with Communion. It was like the floodgates opened and I could go to a bookstore and I could find all kinds of stories, book stories, and all kinds of information. As a matter of fact, folks, I was following William Cooper back in those days. I was also conspiracy buff back then too, because I was also this is the other parallel I was doing. I was a huge JFK, you know, I'd read everything on JFK and get my hands on. I wasn't a researcher because I wasn't like the guys like, you know, we only had Mark Lane back then, and Judge, and Mary, I'm sorry, not Mary Sherman, but gosh, it just went out of my head. But anyhow, the radio broadcaster from Santa Barbara, shoot, it'll come to me in a minute. But anyhow, we didn't have a whole lot of people back then doing this, and you only had certain sources you could get to and find out about, and you know, get their newsletters or listen to their radio shows or what have you. So when the 90s came along and Whitley Strieber came along, Art Bell came along and all that, boy, I was glued to Art Bell every freaking night. It was like going to college for me because I'd already been into it, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe all these people are into it too. And then all the people I had been reading shows up on Art Bell, and I was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. And that's kind of where I was at with it. I was learning a lot about cases. I wasn't as much into contactees. So fast forward to about, and by, and also during this whole time in my entire life, I'm having extraordinary events. They aren't necessarily contactee events. And then about 2009, my whole life changed because I got very sick, almost died, lost everything. And I'm not too proud to admit it. I was almost homeless, and a church was paying my rent. So it was a pretty ugly situation. And I woke up one day and I said, "What is it that I love to do?" And I thought, well, I love JFK and I love UFOs and aliens and all this stuff. So I'm just going to go work in that field. Well, I kind of to this day go, why did I make that decision? But, here I am, and it's, over a decade later, and that's what I've been doing pretty much. And I was 53 when I made that decision. So don't let anybody tell you you can't get involved and make a difference in any community, whether it's politics or UFOs or JFK or conspiracies or, whatever it is you guys want to do. Don't let anybody tell you can't do it. If you want to become a broadcaster like Dave, you could do it too.
Yeah.
I mean, but Dave and I would sit here and say, yeah, good luck with that. I mean, it's a wild world because, like I say, when I got into it, I was basically thrown into it, and there's no money in it. I'm just going to tell you guys flat out, just, if you're going to do it for the love of it and do it because you care about people in that community, and that's why you got to do it. That's the most important thing you got to remember. But if you've got the heart, if you've got the time, if you've got a little bit of money, gosh, I'm telling you, go in and help people because there's just so much work to be done.
Very true.
And I know I'm getting off on a big old tangent here, but what was the question?
Somehow you spun that off of the phenomena, yes.
Yeah, okay. And the reason I bring all this up is because the movie has a beautiful, 1/3 of the movie is the history of a lot of these pilots seeing things, what happened at the missile bases, just a lot of very interesting
See, that's
history.
one of the things that, and I'm going to cut you off right there because that's one of the things that bugs me, Lori. Okay, we have heard about the nuclear missile sites for years, decades.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden they're coming out like, oh my goodness, they were shutting down our nuclear missiles. Who would have thought? How did these aliens have this ability to do so? I mean, where is, I don't know about you, but my BS-o-meter went peak woo on that. Like, come on.
Well, they were trying. I mean, you got to remember, this movie was made for people who don't know anything about UFOs, okay? Or about even the fact that we're having contact, that people are out there having contact. You would be, Dave, I am shocked. Everywhere I go, people go, oh, I love the whole thing about UFOs. They talk about it like they've seen the alien movies and, what have you. But then I start bringing up contact, and I bring up the fact that these guys control our missile silos at one point. I bring up the fact that Rendlesham Forest had a triangle thing coming in and out of dimensions, giving them downloads of binary code, and people look at you like you've lost your freaking mind. They can accept the fact that there's UFOs here, and that's where TSA is brilliant. They are playing on the fact that all their TV shows and everything they're talking about disclosure is just about the fact that, hey, folks, look up. That's actually a UFO. Okay? That's as far as they're going. Because I find that they're brilliant. They're ex-CIA guys with a strategy. You get to the point where you say, hey, and the wall of my bedroom melted away last night, and this beautiful woman came, in and talked to me, and this, this loving communication happened without any talking. I mean, people just look at you like you've lost your mind, right?
I agree.
So I think they did a great job with the movie. Personally, bringing up that and going, oh my God, they did take over our missile silos. Well, yeah, we've all known it for forever, right? And here's the kicker on that. The fun part about that whole thing is I sit and laugh because I watch it and then I go, yeah, do they realize that, is it not Sala, but, who was the major at one of them that's been talking about it for years? And they use him in the movie and they interview him in the movie. And, he and his buddy, and I can't remember his name either right now for the life of me, came out on George Knapp's show about, 6 months ago or 9 months ago, and said, yeah, by the way, we've been having alien contact our entire life too. And so it goes to show you that this is very interesting. These guys are all at these missile bases. And several other guys at the bases were also having contact their entire life as well. And it brings up to me, is it the chicken or the egg? Are the guys having the contact at the bases, alerting the aliens, or did the aliens get these guys at the bases so they could understand what they were actually doing and be able to parse it out to the rest of the military? I find it fascinating that these guys admitted that. Because all my life I thought, oh my God, these guys are out at the space. None of them are contactees. They start shutting things down. They're seeing UFOs. They're going through this whole thing. And oh my God, what an amazing thing. And then we find out they're all contactees. Or not all of them, but a major portion of the guys that were at these bases are contactees. So that's just bizarre to me.
It absolutely is in regards to it. But I haven't seen the movie. I have heard nothing but glowing reviews of it. And
got to see it.
And I know anything Lori Wagner and that entire crew is involved with is going to be damn good. I really do believe in that and support that. My only issue is, as someone who is in this field, okay, because I don't have a lot of time, should I actually watch it? Because I already know everything that is going on. Now, that may sound a little crass, a little rude, and maybe even a tad arrogant. But
you mean you're just like the rest of us?
Well, what I'm saying though is that I am just, I'm just wondering whether or not to do so, because we're about pushing the field forward, and here we're digging up a bunch of old stories again. And I'm sorry, anybody who brings up Roswell and doesn't mention San Augustine, I question the research.
Exactly. And I'm right there with you on that one. I don't even talk about Roswell anymore because I just got to the point where I thought, nobody knows what they're talking about unless they talk to the right people. One of the best people out there for that is, I'm looking at his face. I can't. See, this is why I need Alzheimer's drugs, you guys. I can't remember people's names anymore. But I'll think about it on the next break. I'll look it up. But there are 2 or 3 guys out there that have done the research on the second crash site and the third crash site and all the other crash sites around Roswell that happened within that 2-week period. So those are the people you need to get your information from, as well as the original, stories about Roswell. But if you don't go into depth about all of it, then why bother? You're right. You're absolutely correct on that. Now, getting back to Phenomenon, yes, everybody needs to see that movie. And if it isn't for the whole movie, I love the ending about the contact. That's beautiful. I mean, it helps people understand that people are having contact en masse and that the children are getting some contact. And I think it was a beautiful way to introduce people into the fact that these people weren't afraid. And I thought that was really well done. I really appreciated that about James. He didn't bring any of the fear factor events in from anybody else's experience. He brought in all these loving little children that chased the UFOs down, and an alien would come out and talk to them all and then go back in the ship, and the alien told them all that we needed to help the planet. I mean, that's great. I mean, I loved it because what a most beautiful way to say that we're screwing this place up, and that the aliens know it and the kids know it and it needs to be dealt with. Okay, but there's one scene in that movie that blew my mind, and I was literally during the showing of it, I thought to myself, this could change everything. And that was the scene, if you've seen it before, you guys all know what I'm talking about. It's the scene where Gary Nolan and Jacques Vallée are in the lab, and they've got an electron microscope, and they're looking at the metamaterial. In other words, Jacques Vallée walks into a lab with 3 little containers full of UFO parts, pieces of UFOs, okay? So the first thing you're going is, Oh, as a layperson, they would go, "Oh, that's interesting." They wouldn't even think about the fact that I've known this guy's been involved in the field for 65, 70 years now or whatever, and he's actually in possession of three not big containers, but little containers full of spewed UFO parts, and I'm sitting there going, how does he just walk into a lab with pieces of UFOs? I mean, it's mind-boggling. And I'm like going, oh my God, and this is so cool. And then they take one of the pieces, they put it under the electron microscope, and they find out that material is no material from this planet. They cannot even tell what it is. And here's the kicker: the atoms, the protons, neutrons, and whatever's inside of an atom are at a distance further apart than anything on this planet. In other words, they're of other dimensional space. And that is just mind-boggling. It is just, it's so amazing to me that I'm surprised I didn't have a heart attack and drop dead on the floor right there. Because that answered every question I had about the fact that I know these are interdimensional creatures or beings or whatever, angels, aliens, or whatever they are. And they don't have the same atomic structure that we do. And they have mastered the ability to manipulate their atomic structure, which is completely different than ours, and create what I call, and that Bernie Mendez called way back in the day, the slots. And when I say the slots, I mean another dimension that the aliens have created that intermingles with our dimension, where they take us and they put us in there so they can communicate with us. That's why I find the book One by Yossi
Ronan?
Ronan? Yes, Yossi Ronan's book. Absolutely fascinating, because he talks about the fact that when the aliens were in the room with him, it was like time stop. When you talk to all the contactees that are in their cars die. Well, I don't think their cars are actually dead. I think they're just actually running in a different dimension into them, because they're in this other dimensional time space that the aliens put you into, that the car just seems like it's not running, because time has basically stopped for your metal surroundings. Okay, that's why there's no birds. That's why they can drop you back after they've taken your whole car and you up into a ship. Basically, they can take you and put you back 15 minutes earlier than when you left the house and at your destination, which has happened to people. It's because they actually move you into a different time space, and it's so close to ours that it's almost imperceivable to people here that it's happening. Because it's like in a blink of an eye for us, but for you it could be 3 hours. So, I mean, it's mind-boggling. But the interesting part was they had an electron microscope showing that this is scientifically could be happening. So you guys, if you don't watch it for any other reason, watch it for just that segment, because I think everybody needs to see this. I mean, this is science. You can't dispute it. And that's why I'm so in love with the movie, is just for that 5 minutes. The rest of it's powerful, it's great, it's wonderful, but this is like, for me, it was life-changing.
And that's an awesome review. It really is an awesome review. I just think that, I know with our audience, especially the ones that are in our chat rooms or on Twitter, they're highly advanced in this subject already. They're either experiencers, or they've been watching enough television shows and doing their own research and radio shows that they know what's going on. They have a good clue. But I also know there's an entire part of our audience that is intrigued, and they want to know too. For them, I think it's a fantastic movie. For people who are already in the know, you're going to get the same messages from the same people all the time. Speaking of which, as we got about 5 minutes here before we go to break at the top of the hour, Lorien Fenton is our guest tonight. Lorien, one of the things that I have noticed, especially in the mainstream coverage of this subject, it's the same people with the same words saying the same thing each and every time. And I know that there's a lot of people out there who are getting, as much as they may like or dislike Chris Mellon, Lou Elizondo, Nick Pope, David Fravor, Harry Reid, the former senator, okay? They are tired of hearing from them on shows like Tucker Carlson or quoted in the newspaper, because there's never anything new that is given. I'm not saying that they're not working hard behind the scenes in Washington, D.C. on this subject, because Lord knows I do believe that they have brought a lot of good. And that I've honestly changed my perspective on that. But from a media standpoint, at what point do people start tuning out when they hear the same thing over and over again, especially about the same 3 videos?
Well, I have to laugh because I feel the same way you do and your audience feels. But this is important to understand. If you're a CIA guy and you're ex-CIA and you've got a plan and you're working with a bunch of your other ex-CIA buddies and you have a definite plan, the first plan you've got to get out there is the fact that you have to, and I hate to use this word, but it's apropos, you've got to brainwash your audience into understanding what you're talking about is real. And we have the media right now to do that. And the only way they're going to convince my father that this is all real is you've got to see the same guy talking about the same thing over and over and over again and add one more little piece to the puzzle each time he goes on the show and just kind of get them to the point where they're acclimated. And it's going to take years. I told everybody this when this whole thing started with To the Stars Academy and I saw those guys on the stage. It was like a lightning bolt hit me. I went, here we go. I've been in the mind control field, the super soldier, the secret space program, all this stuff for years. Nobody believes me, okay? But now we've got an organization out there that's going to start indoctrinating the people. It's like Soviet propaganda. Okay? They're going to slowly drip this out. They're going to say the same thing over and over again with the same people. And after a while, my dad will wake up one day and he'll realize he's watching Tucker Carlson and the guy's talking about UFOs, the Tic Tac and what it was. And he'll go, oh, that's real. And he won't even know that he was convinced it was real by the same thing being repeated over and over again in his head. And this is how these guys work. So I totally get what they're doing. I have no problem with it either. Because if that's what it takes, the slow drip to the ignorant who don't understand what's going on, then hey, fine with me. Use your Bernays tactics on them and go for it, right? Project Artichoke all over again. And I'm fine with it. So, I can deal with it. But what I don't like is when they treat the contactee community and the UFO believer community, the people who have seen things, they treat them like they don't want them around because they're the bad, ugly stepsister of the group when in actuality we're the Cinderellas. You know what I'm saying?
I totally know what you're saying, and I get that as we got about a minute to go here. But the opposite side is, and like I said on this show numerous times, where's Grant Cameron? Where is Richard Dolan?
Yeah.
Where's Lorien Fenton? Where's Melinda Leslie? Where's Linda Moulton Howe? Where are these people? And the fact that they have segregated this community between, they're just researchers and we're the government, to me, that's a red flag.
Well, they're going to start embracing the top researchers because they brought Nick Pope in, okay? I think we're going to see them bring Richard Dolan in at some point because Richard, nothing against Richard, but he toes the party line, okay? And he's not a contactee. His wife is a contactee, but he's not. And maybe by now he is one because he's sleeping with one. You never know. I mean, it can rub off.
well, you know what, Lorien, on that note, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to have more UFO talk, more disclosure talk, more talk about secret space programs and everything of the ilk because that's kind of what we do here on Spaced Out Radio. And Lorien is one of the best and the most knowledgeable and one of the most connected when it comes to this phenomena. You can love her, you can hate her, you can say whatever you want, but you cannot question her knowledge on this subject. It is very, very straight up. Lorien Fenton's website, lorienfenton.com. We'll be back with Spaced Out Radio, hour number 2 next. Lorien, I'm just going to run my dogs outside. I'll be right back, okay?
Okay.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Hi there, this is the paranormal lawyer Michael W. Hall. I'd like to invite you to listen in each Sunday night where we're going to open up your eyes to everything strange and paranormal. I will be hosting some great guests with topics that affect us all, such as UFOs, ghosts, and everything paranormal. Let's learn together on Spaced Out Radio Sunday with myself, Michael W. Hall, the paranormal lawyer at spacedoutradio.com.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month. And follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Hi. This is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
Hey, Space Travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little different. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother is Watching.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville.
I am back.
Great. I'm getting my dinner served.
Nice.
I say I'm just getting my dinner served.
If you have Taco Bell again, I am hanging up.
No, I don't have Taco Bell tonight.
Thank
I've
God.
I went and got Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Oh, either way. I'm so sick and tired. You know where all the Taco Bells are. I couldn't find a Taco Bell last time I was there.
You couldn't. There's one right down the street.
Yeah, like 5 days after I left San Francisco, Uber Eats finally started delivering Taco Bell. You have no idea how mad I was.
Poor baby.
I know. I'm itching.
Oh, well. We'll have you down again, so don't worry about that.
I know, and I will be there. As long as the border is open, I will be there.
God, what are we going to do about this?
I don't know.
It's making me crazy not being able to visit anybody. If I go to New York, I got to spend 2 weeks in quarantine.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens here in the next little bit. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I hope things change.
Run. If everybody's safe during Christmas, hopefully we can, smarten up for the new year. We got just under a minute here.
Okay. I'll stop chewing here then.
Yeah. Want to feel old? Ralph Macchio turns 59 today.
I'm older than that. Okay.
All right. We got 25 seconds. Thank you to everybody who has tuned on in tonight. Thank you for the likes and the thumbs up and the new subscribers that have hit that subscribe button. Good to have you here. Super Chat is open, as well as the SOR Vault. And probably tomorrow or the next day, I'm going to start putting up new pictures of T-shirts that you can get. Here we go.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway tonight. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. My name is Dave Scott. I am sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters right here in central British Columbia, Canada, Northern Hemisphere, North America, planet Earth. Yes, that is where I am. Hey, I want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, has a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Let's get to the Desert Clam, shall we? What the hell is this? Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. I don't even know how to pronounce this. It's thioacanthotoxism. Something like that, not worth repeating, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, once again, spacedoutradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Lorien Fenton is here. LorienFenton.com is her website. She is all things woo, and, she's pretty knowledgeable, pretty awesome, too. Lorien, welcome back.
Thank you, Dave. Gosh, I got to thank you very much for telling the people out there about me, because one of the problems I've been facing all these years, I've been very outspoken about what I believe is going on. And I think I've earned the respect of many people on the, to the Stars Academy side. I mean, they all know who I am. Let's just put it that way. They may not like me because I open my mouth too much, but the reality is this, folks. You've got to take a stand in this community, just like any other community. You've got to decide what you're going to stand up for. And in my case, I've decided that the contactees need representation. And that's really where I come from, especially with my conferences. Dave's been to my conferences. He knows I don't have anybody on that stage who is not a contactee of sorts, unless they have really good chops in a field within ufology. Like, I'll have Michael Schratt there because he's an amazing.
Yes, he is.
Oh my God, he's an amazing researcher, and he does brilliant work for ufology. I mean, I still have
a Michael Schratt crush. I
oh
do.
my God.
You know, when he was there this year with James Goodall, who's another legend.
Oh yeah.
You know, I was like fangirling all over him. I'm like, oh my God, it's Michael Schratt. And he's like, oh, Dave, come on. I'm like, no, dude, you're like the best, man. And he's like, no, I'm not. And I'm like, yes, you are. I said, you want to go? I'm like, you want to go outside and do something about this because you are the best, and I'm going to tell you that you're the best every time I see you. And he starts blushing, right?
Yeah, no, Michael, God, tell you, James Goodall and Michael Schratt, two of my favorite people on the planet. And you know what's great about them, and this is the reason they're at my conferences, is because both of them have accepted contactees at the level they're at. I mean, you know, it's like James is not a contactee. He's never even seen a UFO that I know of, Mr. Goodall, but he's driven. He's flown. He hasn't driven them. He's flown them. You know, he was a test pilot at Area 51 and flown the Blackbird. And I mean, the guy is amazing. I mean, it's mind-boggling what this guy has done. But you know what? I brought him into the UFO community, and he has never said to me, who are these wacky people I'm on a stage with? He's never said that. And I've heard that from other people like him. Like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm at this conference speaking with these crazy people. I mean, I've heard that quote, folks. You wouldn't believe it. And he accepted everybody. He's become friends with everybody in the community. And Michael Schratt, from the day I met him, like 13 or 14 years ago, he accepted me for what level I was at with contactees and never questioned it. He never questioned it. All he ever said to me was, I want to know more about the UFOs because I'm really into the design of them. And I said, cool, I have no problem with that. I'll tell you everything I've ever seen and what my friends have seen. I'll get them all to talk to you. And he's taken every one of our experiences and put them down on paper and 3D catted them, and they all are beautiful, you know. And he never questions us. He never says, oh, okay. You know, he doesn't act like we're a bunch of crazies. And this is why these guys have my respect and every other contactee's respect in the community, because they understand that there's something going on here that can't be explained and that the contactees are the key. And I'm back to that again. And this is why I have a reputation in the community as being kind of a hard ass, because I won't let it go. I'm not going to let it go.
No, and you can't. You know, and it's funny because Science Bob McGuire and I were talking about this privately over the last couple of months. And he asked me point blank. He goes, Dave, where do you think the secrets are? Do you think they're in the government? I said, no. I said, to be absolutely blunt with you, I said, I honestly believe that it's the experiencers. And you know what? There's a lot of faux experiencers out there. I'm not talking somebody who has just seen a UFO in the sky or anything like that. You know, but when I run into up here a 12-year-old girl who's now 13 who sits down and tells me what it was like to fly a craft, that's the information we need. That's the information we need.
Yep, that's what I'm talking about. And you know, they've shown a keen. This is the other part to the Stars Academy, which I do got to give them credit for. They've been doing this for a very long time, though. People have to understand that these guys like Grant Cameron, Melinda, and I, and Randy Copain have been saying, Melinda for 28 years, me for 25, Grant for almost 35 years now, whatever it's been. We all said, hey, the UFOs are there. We know that. Let's figure out who on the ground is actually controlling the situation, okay? And we have been looking into who these guys are, and Melinda has an amazing presentation. I want everybody to watch it if you can. It's kind of cut and dry. It's not sexy, but it'll tell you what's really going on and who these people are that control the UFO field. You've seen it, Dave, a couple of times, actually. And it's up on my MUFON website, so if I could share that with your audience, I'd love to, because it'll give them a free access to watch this, and it'll blow your mind if you're really interested. It's MUFON, Marin, M-A-R-I-N, Sonoma, SONOMA.com. That's MUFON, Marin, Sonoma.com. spacedoutradio.com. If you go there and you go over to the, I can't remember. I think it's the store and videos on demand or something tab, you'll find that presentation of Melinda's at the bottom of the page. Now, the reason I bring this up is because it's really important to understand who has been controlling the narrative for all of us for a very long time. And I think what's happening is they're getting to the point where they can't ignore us anymore. And that's why I keep like a bulldog, just keep, shaking and rattling here, because I have conferences that I know they send people to keep an eye on me and to keep an eye on all of my speakers, because they want to know who you guys are. They want to know what you're up to. And what they'll eventually do is, if you're a major contactee, they're going to send Kit Green, and he's going to show up at your house, and he's going to do an EEG. He's going to take a blood sample. He's going to measure you. He's going to weigh you. He's going to get an eye imprint. He's going to do everything he can to find out what's in your body that ticks differently than the next guy. Now, this is a part to this puzzle that everybody just accepts that they're doing this. They've done it to every major contactee for the last 30, 35 years. What I have figured out from this is that they know what that common denominator is. And like Eric Mitchell, who has that phenomena in his brain where he actually he has extra, like a metatarsal bone or something, that's causing him to pick up frequencies and sounds. So when the aliens are around him, he's actually hearing a whole like orchestra of beats. And so what they have figured out is that there are certain people that have been turned on genetically and physically to be able to communicate with the aliens. I know that they have, because I was told by the aliens that there's no way that you can communicate with us unless we tune you to our frequency. And I didn't know what that meant years ago when I got that download. I was like, what? So many years later, I'm sitting here going, why does Kit Green do all that? Blah, blah, blah. And it dawned on me. They're trying to figure out what they're turning on. They're not doing it to figure out how, why they're connecting with you or what's in your body that makes a difference. They want to know what they changed in you. Not what you've got, not that you were born with it. They want to know what the aliens did to you that makes you different than anybody else that's just born without that connection to the ET. So that's what was fascinating to me. I can't believe I was so old that it took me that long to figure it out. But that's what they're doing. And I know from every contactee I've ever talked to that's been a lifelong major contactee, they said at some point they had their first experience, they were on the ship, and the aliens did something to them that made them be able to be communicated with wherever they're at, like a tracking device or a implant or that type of thing. And by the way, can I announce this? I want to announce it on the show. I think this is a great place to announce it.
Let's see. I'm kind of curious now.
I have a friend named Dave Altman. You know Dave very well.
I know Dave very well. Good guy.
Dave got a hold of me the other day, and he said, Lorien, do you know anybody who's got an implant? And I said, yeah, I know tons of people got implants. And he goes, would you, send out to your list the fact that I need people with implants to be in a TV show to get their implant removed, and they'll pay for everything. So if anybody in your audience would like to email me through my website, that's lorienfenton.com. Just go there and go to the contact page and fill out the little form and say, I have an implant, and it can't be, here's the interesting part, it cannot be in your neck or in your head. It has to be in an extremity, because there's a lot of problems with doing surgery for television on the neck and head, because it's not cool. So it has to be an extremity. Feet and hands are preferred. But it could be in your arm or, a forearm or a thigh or, what have you. So if you've got one, you want it out, and I'll hook you up, and there's a great possibility you could be on a TV show having it removed.
That'd be kind of cool.
That would be cool.
That would be kind of cool.
Yeah. So you get a hold of me, and I'll turn you on to Dave after I ask you a few questions, and then, you may be a TV star.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. Lorien Fenton is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Lorien, we've talked so many subjects over the years, and I want to continue about the experiencer and the reason why you believe the answers are with the experiencers rather than the scientific side of everything. What makes you so strongly believe that this is the case and that we're looking up the wrong trees?
Well, like I said previously, it really comes down to the fact that the ETs are communicating with us on a very profound level. It's almost a spiritual level. It's almost a religious level. And it transcends consciousness. And, you know, Grant's been on your show a million times, and he's talked about his consciousness aspect of this whole thing. But he's right on. I mean, it all has to do with consciousness, and it has to do with, you know, why we're here as human beings on a very deep level. And the ETs know that, and we have forgotten why we're here. Gosh, there's a whole thing I talk about in my presentation. I think I'll talk about it now briefly. And this is a little tangent, but it does relay back to this. Why are you shaking your hand at me?
Oh, not at you. Wrong camera, hun. Wrong camera. That's you there.
Okay.
That's over there. That's to the YouTube crowd. Horrible comment. Okay. Horrible comment by one of our listeners.
Oh, does he want his head amputated? I can arrange that.
No. Oh. She probably ate breakfast for dinner. That's the problem.
Okay. Well, anyhow, so what was I saying? Oh, the interesting thing that goes on with the ET and the whole spiritual consciousness thing that I've been trying to figure out why these ETs keep giving me these downloads. And you guys, I don't call them my ETs. You guys all know this. I've always called them angels because I've never seen a gray. The only thing I've ever seen is a white light being standing by the side of the bed as they took me to a place of love and light at one point. That's another whole story. But I've never seen anything like a gray or a reptilian, though I have had a reptilian hug me that was invisible. So I do know they exist. But my point to all this is I've never had a bad experience with ET, ever. I've never had anything but love come out of them or information of very profound nature. So I'm a very lucky person on that regard because a lot of contactees I know are petrified of these things. And one of the reasons, I'm going to go off on another tangent, one of the reasons my friends come to me about their fearful experiences is because listening to me, they realize it doesn't have to be fearful. If they decide that they can get out of that fear space and just commune with the aliens while they're there, hence Communion, the book by Whitley Strieber, they could possibly learn something and maybe open themselves up to getting the kind of downloads I have been getting my entire life, which are pretty regular and pretty consistent and very profound. And I think what we really are coming down to here, folks, with the extraterrestrial presence and them communicating with all the contactees and experiencers is this. There is a way off of this planet with your consciousness. And I believe, and this is just my opinion and my good friend Tron or Plutronus' opinion, we both have come to the conclusion that there is a war going on here for our souls. And this isn't just me and him talking about this. You guys have probably heard this many, many years going back. Dave Corso used to talk about it. There were many people on the kind of the fringes of ufology that would every once in a while you hear a little peep out of them and they'd say, this is a war for your soul. And I kind of heard that all along, and I kept going, God, why do they keep saying that? Why do every 5 years I'll have somebody come along and they'll tell me it's a war for your soul? And I finally realized what's going on. It is a war for your soul. I think that there's a faction of the, maybe the reptilians, maybe the grays, maybe the mantids. I don't know who they are. I can't even tell you who they are. But I think there's a faction of alien out there that is using us as an energy feed, and they need to keep us in a negative state or a riled state or something to feed off of us energetically and it bleeds into their dimension. or they harvest it from us in some way, shape, or form. You guys have heard of the archons. I believe that has validity. I believe that there's something to that. There's something going on where some type of alien is getting their jollies off of us, okay? And I also believe that these same aliens are not letting us transcend into the next level of existence with our consciousness. Because when we die, we shed our body, as we all know, when our consciousness lives on, and I think they're recapturing it and bringing us back here to keep using us. That's my theory now. I don't know. It might change in 5 years. I might hear something else from somebody else, but this is what Tron and I have kind of come to the conclusion, and Tron's been looking into it for a long time, and he's had major contact, and he really believes that this is what's happening. And I was developing that thought at the same time, and the two of us sat down about a month ago and really compared notes, and I believe that they are, when we die, if you go to the light, I know that sounds crazy. It's just like that movie, Go to the Light. But if you go to the light, I believe that they're recycling you back here onto this planet. I believe if you can train yourself well enough, like the people in Asia used to do, they used to prepare for their deaths. I would say if I'm dying and I have enough consciousness left in me to do it, I'm going to send my consciousness off to the right or the left away from the light and see if I don't have to come back here. That's my hope, is that I'm conscious enough in my death that I can do that. I believe that my contact with the aliens now is to teach me how not to be recycled back into this dimension. That is what I think is going on. That's my personal opinion. I don't know if anybody else has gotten this. I hope that others have. They've always been it's kind of cryptic with them. You never know, because it's not like words written down on a piece of paper. You can read what they're trying to convey to you. But they have shown me enough things that I do know that we are not safe coming back here all the time onto this dimension. Okay? That
goes along with what John Alexander believes as well.
Really?
Yeah, that there is some sort of ultra-terrestrial that they do not understand, whether it comes from inner Earth. This is just what I'm surmising, okay? Because he was very much saying that, one of the things they learned at Skinwalker Ranch during Robert Bigelow's time there was the fact that there was very much there that was happening that was just so far out of the paranormal phenomena that it scared a lot of people, as you know.
Well, and I know people that were there during that Bigelow period, and I know things that I can never talk about. And I'm telling you, folks, that was a very scary time for that ranch. I don't know how it is with the new owners. I don't know if they've exactly, kicked the hornet's nest like Bob Bigelow's group did. But there's one thing I got out of what they all told me. And this is public knowledge. This was on the Art Bell show, so I can say this. There was somebody from the ranch, and it may have even been George Knapp. I don't remember. But they said in one of their closing statements on the Art Bell show, they said this: "We came to the conclusion that this had a lot to do with spirituality and consciousness, and that one of the ways that they could protect themselves there was through the love of a parent to a child. It took that deep of a love to counteract whatever was at the ranch." And they compared it to the love of a mother to her child, okay? And that always struck me as something so profound. I just never could get that out of my head. And to this day, I think love, and that is one of the downloads I got in part of my series of downloads that I got, where they were giving me answers to a lot of very profound things. One of them was that love is the key. Love is the key to everything that goes on this planet. It's also the key to getting us off of this planet. And I don't know how to utilize that. I mean, I think about it every day. I think, God, am I being a horrible person because I yelled at so-and-so? I mean, I'll give you guys an example of how tenacious I am. I get a phone call today from my doctor for my appointment, and the nurse is calling ahead of time, and she says, we need your address. I said, you're not getting my address. Nobody gets my address. Nobody gets to know where I live. And then she gets all flustered, and she goes, well, can I have your phone number? I said, you've got my voicemail phone number, and that's the only one you're getting.
Wow. Well, they're just trying to heal you here. Lorien, hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Lorien Fenton from the Fenton Files, the Fenton Perspective, LorienFenton.com. The Fentonizer continues on Spaced Out Radio right after this. All right, we're clear. All right, I got 2 questions to ask you. Because we haven't asked you this. Breakfast for dinner. What's your thoughts on eating breakfast foods for dinner? A little bacon and eggs and hash browns and pancakes?
Oh, yeah. Always.
Lorien.
Yeah, whenever I can. I'll be at 2 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock at night at the IHOP across from the anywhere.
Terrible.
Anywhere.
Terrible. I thought you were better than that.
Nope. I am a slut for breakfast at any time of day.
Oh, Lorien, you absolutely killing me. Absolutely killing me.
Sorry. You know me.
Yep.
Were you with us at the IHOP after the conference?
No, because I had to fly out.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. We had such a good time, as usual.
Yes, I had to fly out on Sunday afternoon. Which, by the way, my flight was delayed by like 2 hours.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, my flight was delayed by 2 hours. I never told you this. My flight.
Did they tell you why?
Mechanical problems. So I fly into Vancouver. I land in Vancouver at just before midnight. And just as our luggage starts coming up the trolley,
yeah,
the thing gets jammed.
Oh,
okay.
Jesus.
It gets jammed. Another 20 minutes waiting for my luggage. So finally, by the time my dad picks me up at the airport. He drives me about an hour east to his home where my vehicle is. And at like 1 o'clock in the morning, I start my drive home. Right? At about 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm in the middle of the mountains, not a cloud in the sky. I drive around this corner and it's just, I'm having a great time, taking my time, like nothing is going on, right? And I stop right in the middle of the highway because there's like 20 caribou standing right on the middle of the highway. And I'd never seen I never seen caribou before. So
cool.
So I was like, oh, this is awesome. This is just awesome. So I just stood around there. I opened up my window and I was just like, hey, boys and girls, how you doing? Like, trying to just show the love, because I think animals need love, too.
Yep.
And drive home, and I'm cruising away, and, about an hour more into the drive, and thinking, oh, God, my bed is going to feel good in, like, 45 minutes. 45 minutes. It's all I need. I hit a fucking blizzard.
What?
Blizzard.
At the mountain, on that mountain before your town?
Yep. Climbing the mountain.
God.
Climbing the mountain out of the desert, and I hit a blizzard. I am doing like not even 30 miles an hour or 50 kilometers an hour. The rest of the way home, I'm driving in the middle of the highway. Okay, thank goodness our highways are like really big up here. All right, driving in the middle of the highway, sliding all over the place. I got good snow tires on too.
Right.
All right. And sliding all over the place, and I'm like, this is unbelievable. I got home, okay, so I left San Francisco at 8 o'clock, 8:30 that night, because my flight was scheduled for 6, okay? So I leave San Francisco at 8:30 that night. Jesus. I got home at 6:30 in the morning. I wake up 20 minutes later because my alarm went off to get my kid ready for school.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh no, it was a blast. I'd do it all again. Okay, one other question we have for you, going back to Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Oh, I love that movie.
And Devil's Tower.
Yeah.
Is Devil's Tower, are you on Team Stump or on Team Rock?
What?
Do you believe it was a tree of life and is now a tree? Do you believe it was once a tree of life and is now just a dead tree stump? Or do you think it was made out of volcanic rock and shale?
I've never been asked that question before. I didn't even know it was a thing.
Oh, it is here.
I'll have to study it, okay? And I'll get back to you on that.
Oh, and by the way, for people who are wanting to see our new swag that will be released very soon, we do have.
You got swag?
We have a Team Stump. The Team Stump shirt is in the store, but we're going to be having a Team Rock shirt as well.
Oh, good. So you'll have both.
Just for you crazy bastards who don't think that it's a tree stump.
I have to look at it closer because all I remember is from the movie.
Right.
And I watched that movie back when I was like 30.
Oh, yeah. I love that movie.
So that was 33 years ago, folks. So, I got to go look at it again.
I love that movie. Okay, we got 15 seconds. Thank you to Reverend Keith for the amazing super chat tonight. I really do appreciate that, Reverend Keith. Amen to you. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that thumbs up if you don't mind, because here we go with the second half of the show. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you along for the ride. My name is Dave Scott. And I want to say thank you for tuning us on in. Reminder that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue our night with Lorien Fenton from LorienFenton.com. There she is, the pride and joy of UFO San Francisco, Miss Lorien Fenton. Good to have you back.
Yeah, the troublemaker's back on there.
I hear you.
I say, okay, I got to finish my story about what happened to me today.
Right.
They're doing California is like communist California right now because we've had Gavin Newsom.
No politics. No politics.
Oh, no politics. Well, basically, I just got to say this one thing. I'm living in communist California, and everything you do nowadays, if I go to get my nails done, I've got to write my name and a phone number and all that. Well, what I've been doing is I've been scribbling some gibberish on there and writing a fake phone number, okay? Because I don't want anybody to find me, okay? So what I've been battling with my medical stuff is this. Every time you go to the doctor now, you've got to give them your name, your address, your phone number, they're asking for so many crazy things that about 3 years ago I said, you guys are asking unconstitutional questions of me and I'm not going to answer them. And if you want me to answer them, if I have to answer them for any reason that, is beyond me talking to my doctor, I'm going to get an attorney, and we're going to talk about this on another day. And so they stop asking me questions. Well, this poor girl gets on the phone. She's new at the office, and she gets on the phone and she starts asking me all these questions. And I said to her, do you know it's unconstitutional what you're doing? And she's like, I didn't know that. And I said, yeah, the only reason you're doing that is because if I get sick with COVID, you got to be able to come and find me so you can tell everybody I'm around that they got to hunker down and, for 14 days. She goes, oh, no, this isn't contact tracing. I said, well, then what are you using it for? And she couldn't answer me. So I get on the phone with my doctor, and I said the same thing. And I said, it's for contact tracing. I said, you got to believe that, right? She goes, no, it's not for contact tracing. I said, well, what do you think they're using it for then, Dr. So-and-so? And she goes, well, I think they're just doing it for your well-being. I said, I don't think so. I said, it's definitely contact tracing. So I'm making a point to you guys. every time I talk to somebody and they tell me I have to do something, I make sure that they understand that I don't have to do it unless I decide I'm going to do it. I am not compliant. I don't play games with people. I'm very upfront, and I'm that way around ufology. And, a lot of people like me. A lot of people hate me. I honestly don't care. But I would hope that you guys out there listening to me think that what I'm talking to you about is of importance enough that you would take it at least into consideration. That would make me happy. What do you think, Dave? Do you think they should even pay attention to me?
I'm just happy to be here right now.
Yeah, there you go. Well, and so there's just so many things about ufology, and we were talking earlier about Nick Pope and all the guys being the regular people out there for the mainstream media. They couldn't take us, Dave. I mean, honestly, because I think we'd be telling too much of a truth, and I think it's at such a level that you have to be very open to it to understand what's really going on with UFOs and aliens and the whole 9 yards. And it's just hard on people.
It's a hard time right now for everybody, and the big thing I think for a lot of people right now is they're looking for that escape. They want, that's why I think a lot of this is the reason why our numbers have gone up drastically over the start of COVID, is because we don't talk about it. We don't mention it. We don't talk politics, and people are just so done. They are completely done with everything that I think that they are just, fed up. And I don't blame them.
I don't blame them either. I'm fed up. I'm at the point now, and I will admit this live on air, I'm actually getting depressed. I never thought I'd say that because I'm not a depressed person, and I don't even know what depression feels like, to be honest with you, but I think I'm getting depressed because I have nowhere to go. I can't go to Dallas this year because there's nothing going on. There's no conference, and usually there's 3 JFK conferences going on for that whole week before Thanksgiving, and I'm always down there. I may go down just to hang out with my friends, but, there's nothing happening. And my parents, you guys are going to love this. My parents have actually said, don't come home for Christmas. They're 90 years old. I don't blame them. They're scared. And I don't know what to do. I mean, it's crazy stuff. And I'm sure all of you guys are having the same kind of problems, And what do? There's nothing you can do. You just, live with it and deal with it as best you can. But I tell you, I might be getting depressed. You're going to have to come down and have drinks with me, Dave.
Oh, God.
Get me undepressed here.
Oh, I hear you. I totally hear you. Trust me, the minute that border opens up, we are having a major spaced out radio party in Las Vegas.
God, that would be fun. Let's do it. I got to tell you, I went to Las Vegas about a month ago with Melinda, where we did our annual birthday party a month late, because we really didn't want to go in August because it was still a little strange. But we just finally said, to heck with this. So her and I actually went, and it wasn't bad, but it was weird having to wear a mask and get my temperature taken everywhere I went. And you know what scared me the most? I got off the plane in Las Vegas, and the whole terminal was empty. We were the only people in the terminal getting off that plane. There were probably only 7 planes into Vegas that day. It was just
I gotta go.
Yeah, you got to get down there. I mean, before they close it down and no one can go,
Oh,
it's scary.
Absolutely. Lorien Fenton is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Lorien, with the amount of experiencers that are out there, there's a lot of other news that goes along with it, all right, that, there's people who claim that they are super soldiers. There's people who claim that they have been to Mars and all of that. It is so tough. People like Randy Kramer have been, run through the gamut. We know Corey Good's story. We know David Wilcock's story. I mean, maybe we call that the ugly side of ufology. But it also has a very large backing. You know what I'm saying?
They have followers that I just sit here and I'm flabbergasted that they have these many followers. I'll tell you guys a little story. I I have been a very outspoken opponent of the Corey Good situation. From the first day I saw him, I knew all my spidey senses went off the day I saw him speak the very first time. And it turned out I had a history with him, and I'm not going to go into details, but I didn't know it was him when I saw him that first time speak, that he was a guy that I had spoken to years before through Carrie Cassidy. And so long story short, I watch this guy, all my spidey senses go off. I know he's BSing at least 50% of his story. I always thought he was a contactee, but I just could not buy the whatever he was selling. It just wasn't settling with me. And all of my friends that are contactees were like, oh, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread and blah, blah, blah. And they actually, I don't know if Melinda's probably going to kill me, but Melinda ended up meeting him up in Colorado when he was filming for Gaia TV, and she was also, and they stayed at the same hotel together and had lunch and what have you. And I said, Melinda, I said, you know how I feel about this guy. She goes, no, I think he's the real deal and all that. And I'm like, okay. And then it got even weirder because all my friends were like on the Corey Good bandwagon. And so I felt kind of left out, but it was all right. And then the next thing I know, the stories start coming out about how he was stealing the story from a guy in Australia, that this person that was managing him was feeding him information. And I still think he's a contactee. I really do. I still think in some way he's a contactee. I also found out that he had a restraining order against him from the job he was at about the time he called me back in 2013. And yeah, there's just a lot of bad things about the dude. Anyhow, when he got to the point where he started trying to sue people for copywriting SSP for Secret Space Program, things just got very strange. And then he started doxing people. He had a private Facebook group with 10 people in it, and he literally ordered these 10 people to start doxing any radio talk show host like myself and a couple others that I was friends with at the time, still am, and dox them and make sure that they lose their jobs, their life, and their livelihood. And I couldn't believe I found out about this, and I was absolutely upset, and I couldn't believe it, but I let it go, and I just thought, well, you know, it'll disintegrate on its own. There's where I sat. The next thing I know, I'm putting on a conference, and all of the Corey Good followers I knew that were there came up to me, and most of them said, God, you were right all along. I'm so sorry. I told you that, you know, he was the best thing since sliced bread, what have you. But then I went up to these 3 women that I know that were staunch followers of Corey, and I said, you guys, I'm so sorry, you know, the whole doxing thing, it just is ugly, isn't it? And they were like, oh, we don't care. He's the best thing since sliced bread, and we don't care that he did all this. And I'm like, really? So yeah. This is the part where I got to say, folks, this is where I kind of lost it, because I'm sitting here. It is proven there's a lawsuit against the guy. It has been discovered that he did all this, and people are still following him. And I'm like, how does this happen? How does a guy who is a liar, a thief, and a whatever still have followers after that? But then again, there was Jonestown and people drank the Kool-Aid, you know, or whatever they did. And there you go. I mean, there's just people out there that people are going to follow Dave, whether they're, you know, whatever they do. So thank God you and I don't do things like that.
Well, you know, the point that I'm getting at is this. It really shows how fragile this community is when people fall for that. And it's not just them. It's fake psychics out there. It's, you know, fake researchers, fake scientists, fake journalists. You know, there's a lot of fakery. And unfortunately, because there's no standards, there's no set of rules, there's no guidelines, you know, it's a free-for-all in trying to somehow get your name into the conferences, get your name into absolutely everything that is out there in the field, maybe a television show where the money slowly starts to come in because they want that fame and fortune. And it's sad that good people out there, like our listeners tonight, are the people who are taken advantage of by that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It just really bothers me because I have a set of standards I live by. And like I said earlier in the show, love me or hate me, I don't care. But the reality is, and Dave will attest to this, and so will Melinda and all my friends, I have never lied to anybody. I have never, and I stand up for my principles. And I believe, and I hold every contactee to this. And there's a lot of contactees that don't like me because of this. And I've said to every one of them, you have to be a shining example on my stage. If you're going to be on my stage, you are a shining example to everybody in that audience that all contactees that I bring on my stage are not liars, thieves, whatever. And I could go into the other things that I know happen in our community that I just can't even talk about. I'm telling you, folks, there are way too many of them as compared to the guys that are really good. Now, I think, Dave, I'm saying that in kind of a past tense because I'm seeing some really good people start coming to the fore in the UFO community. And some of these old-time flim-flam artists and what have you, I think they're starting to drop out. People like Paul Hynek and Ray Zemansky and Michael Hall and just some really good people out there that are telling the truth as they know it and living the best life they can. You know, they're not over the top devout Christians or anything like that, but they could be. But they're basically living good lives. They're not lying to people, cheating or stealing from anybody. They write good books. They're great. I like Dave Mahler, the guy from Arizona, the Black Triangle guy. I thought he was always on the up and up. I love him. I bring him to any conference. You know, there are people like that are out there that are starting to get through the fray of all these flim-flam guys that we've had for so long dominating everything. And I'm happy for that.
What about the younger generation?
Oh, don't get me started. Oh my God.
Well,
okay. I'm going to try to be nice.
There are some, and we only got about 8 minutes to go here. But there are some brilliant young minds in this field. There
are. I love Amber Beckroot, who's on your show, who does the paranormal stuff. I think she's fabulous. Let's see. There's a couple of other guys. Oh, I love the UFO Garage guys. I mean,
they're awesome.
They are awesome. And, you know, there's just a whole bunch of younger people in the community that I have met that I have actually tried to help kind of mentor into this. And I'll tell you why. Because they came to me and they said, Lorien, I don't know what I've gotten myself into. I think I'm in trouble and I need your help, you know, and I will give them advice on who to talk to, who not to talk to. And that's basically all the help I can give them. But the reality is, folks, at least they came to me and said, I don't know what I've gotten myself into, that kind of thing, instead of, oh, I know what's going on and I'm this, I've got a TV show and I know so much more than you. You know, people who have a TV show, you come and go, folks. Trust me on this one. You come and go. There's nobody that's going to outlive any TV show that's going to sit there and say, I mean, only Ancient Aliens has had that experience and they were a phenomena and they still are and they're just going to be there forever. But look at all the other shows that have come and gone in one season or 3 episodes. They're just gone, you know? So, you know, I don't understand where they're all that and they're all about themselves, because it doesn't work. If you're true to your nature, if you're true to yourself, if you don't lie to the people you're talking to, if you don't fabricate things for a TV show, if you're just honest, you will be a voice in the community. And at any level, and what you can do whatever you want in this community. I'm talking to every one of you out there. Every one of you that's listening to the show has a responsibility to get out there and do something to help the community. That is my opinion. And I tell this to everybody who comes to my MUFON meetings. I tell this to anybody who comes to my conference. I say, I keep this affordable so you get here so you can learn something, so you can pass this information on to others. That is your job. And, you know, everybody looks at me with these doe eyes like they're freaking out. But I mean it, you guys. We are the first wave. We are the first wave here because I'm the older crowd, and we've got to teach the younger guys what it's really all about. And don't waste your time on the kids who it's all about them. Waste your time on the kids who say, I don't know what I've gotten myself into. Can you help me? And just give them some advice. No advice is bad as long as it's the truth.
Very true. Very true. But with the younger generation, they seem more accepting of, and a lot of people call them the young guns, all right? But they seem more accepting of the fact that the TTSA is the future of ufology, that other groups out there are really trying hard to bring all the information out. And in one sense, I believe they're very true. I think of Joe Murgia, I think of Danny Silva, James Iandoli, people of that ilk. They're working very hard, maybe a little slanted one way than calling it down the middle, but they're working very hard and diligently to get the information out. I mean, how much information would we have out if it wasn't for Joe Murgia pushing on the Wilson documents?
Correct. I agree.
They're aggressive and they're good, but on the flip side, are they helping ufology?
They're helping in the best way they can for what they're doing. I never fault any of the guys on those threads in Facebook or the ATIP group or any of those groups, because they're all doing some type of research and digging into something that we all need to know the truth about. And they're getting that information for me to read, and it's free, and I'm lucky and I'm happy and I get that information. I would not have gotten that information 40 years ago. I would never have seen it because no one would have looked at it. No one would have cared. I mean, it wasn't part of the deal back then. So I'm very happy that they're doing that. They're going into all the dark crevices and corners that I'm not able to get into, and they're exposing it to the light. And I'm thrilled about that.
Okay, so are they conference material?
Not necessarily. There is something that happens about being on a stage and presenting your material. I'm very picky about who I put on a stage because I've got to have somebody up there who can at least tell their truth from their heart. Okay, they don't have to be perfect. Like I had Matthew Derion on as my opener for this year. He's only spoken twice in his entire life. He is not the best speaker in the world, but his information blew people away. They were fascinated and riveted to him, and he spoke from his heart. And I thought that was so amazing. I mean, he actually had people crying in the audience. And that's important. So did Chris Bledsoe. I mean, Chris is he's one of these guys you would never put on a stage, but I put him on a stage because he has that ability to speak from his heart. And I don't know these guys, and I don't know their experiences, but if they came to me and they said, Lorien, I got this presentation, I want to talk to you about it, and described it to me, I'd say, okay, I'm listening, and we'd hear about it. But the Wilson, let's put it this way. The Wilson documents as themselves as a thing on my stage, no, probably never happened. Because it's kind of cut and dry, and I can hand you a report on it and get just as much information, right?
True.
But you can't get that from, Chris Bledsoe is not going to hand me a report. He's going to tell me what happened, and I'm going to understand it from his perspective, and that's important to me, that people get that secondhand, firsthand kind of, oh my God, really, kind of information.
Very true. Very true. But for people from the perspective of the research and knowledge, as we got about a minute and a half to go here, is the research valid to what you have learned, which has taken you 40 years, that a lot of these guys who have grown up digging in the internet for information have found out in the last 2 or 3?
I think their information is current for the time and the place. I think the stuff that I've dug around for 40 years is a little more profound and for a different kind of crowd. It all depends on your crowd. See, being a conference producer, you just don't know. I will always have contactees, and people who love contactees will be on my stage. If you go to Contact in the Desert, it's going to be a whole nother story. They'd probably have these guys, because they like that kind of information at their events, and I think that's wonderful. It really depends on who's doing what and how, and these kids they're giving good information, and it needs to be out there, and they've got the means to do it with social media, which I think is fascinating.
It is quite fascinating, because I think they've taken it to a different level with the social media aspect, more so than any other researchers have done over the last number of years.
Absolutely. That is true.
Okay, so let me ask you this in 30 seconds. Is it maybe
no, wait. Are we ending the show, or am I back for another
No,
segment?
you're back for another segment. Of course
Oh,
you
okay.
are.
I thought it was the end of the show.
No,
okay.
no. We got lots of woo to cover with you yet. Lots of woo.
Great.
You know. Yeah, but on that note, I might as well get you to hold on now, because now I have to escape here for the top of the hour break. But we will continue to woo it up here on Spaced Out Radio. And thank you, by the way, Desert Clam, for putting our new T-shirt logos up on Twitter. I really appreciate that. You know, we are going to be getting our new store. There's still more to come, though. There's still more to come, which is going to be pretty darn awesome. Lorien Fenton, we got her for another 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio. Then we're going to get to the SOR News Wire, the Thought of the Day. Stay tuned. Spaced Out Radio continues with hour number 3 coming up right after this. All right, we're clear. I'm just going to run my dogs outside. I'll be right back.
Okay, great. Sorry to do that.
No worries.
At the end, I kept freaking out. And so I thought it went for another half hour.
All right, I'll be back.
Okay.
You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hi there, this is the paranormal lawyer Michael W. Hall. I'd like to invite you to listen in each Sunday night where we're going to open up your eyes to everything strange and paranormal. I will be hosting some great guests with topics that affect us all, such as UFOs, ghosts, and everything paranormal. Let's learn together on Spaced Out Radio Sunday with myself, Michael W. Hall, the paranormal lawyer at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello everyone, this is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightline Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Hey, Space Travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Tribe and Tribe Tyrannies. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little different. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Tribe Charities, just go to tribecharities.org/donate.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month. And follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter @Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
All right, I'm back.
I'm chewing.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. Well, YouTube, I hope you like the look of some of the new shirts that we're going to be bringing out. Like I said, they are much, much better and much more fun, and there's more interesting shirts to come because we want to make sure we have good selection. We haven't even brought out the hats yet. Those are going to look awesome. I'm waiting for those to get made. And once they are, I can't wait. I cannot wait. We got just under a minute to go here. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. All right, 30 seconds.
Okay, I'm done chewing.
No problem. Hey, I sent you a list of people. I know we're still live on YouTube, but I did send you a list of some people to recommend for your conference. I don't know.
Was that a while back?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago.
A couple weeks ago? Was it on Skype or was it in the email?
I can't remember. Hold on here. We're going to get going here. Hold on.
Okay.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. Remember to check out all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. It's thioacanthotoxism. I'm not saying it again, but the clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter @SpacedOutRadio and on Instagram @SpacedOutRadioShow. For the final time tonight, we introduce Lorien Fenton. She is hanging out with us. Her website, LorienFenton.com. You can catch her on the Fenton Files, the Fenton Perspective, everything Fenton around here tonight. Lorien, welcome back.
Yeah, I'm like the Fentonizer, aren't I?
The Fentonizer. There you are. There you are.
Well, it reminds me of that stuff they put on cars, you know. What can I say? What I'd like to do, if it's okay with you, I just take a couple minutes to go over all the things I'm doing right now so people can get involved. Number one, I'm starting a television network, and I'm in this, we're looking at a studio, we're building it right now, we're hoping that it all works out well. It's going to be on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, and all kinds of stuff. It's called Make contacttv.com. That's where you're going to need to go in the future. Probably launching December or January. We're not sure yet. The first 6 months of the shows will all only be 10 years back of all of my conferences that people have never seen before. I've never put some of these up.
Oh, wow.
So it's going to be, yeah. I mean, I'm putting up the very first Super Soldier conference I ever did, and Max Spears, it was the first time he ever appeared on camera in public ever. So that's going to be up, and there's going to be all kinds of things up there. And we're starting to film our own television shows for the network. So it's going to be quite interesting. I've got a lot I couldn't believe it. I made one announcement, and within a week, everybody in the business that I knew was contacting me to have their own show on my network. So we'll see how it plays out, because there's just so many people who want to be with me, and there's only so much time in the day. So we'll see what we can do.
I know where there's some nighttime programming for you.
Oh, great. Okay. We'll talk. We'll talk.
I had to get that in there. It would be a shame if I didn't get that in there.
Yeah, no, you need to get that in there. And then my other thing that I'd love for everybody to pay attention to right now, because of COVID, and I know we're not supposed to talk politics or COVID right now, but I did an interview with Judy Mikovits, Dr. Cordy Williams, and Mark Moisier, who is one of the constitutional lawyers here in San Francisco that is suing Gavin Newsom. It's a very interesting 3-hour and 15-minute interview of those three people, and it was done just a couple weeks ago, and you can find it at cv19liberty.com. That's cv19liberty.com. Please check it out, because it was a great interview of these three people. Extraordinary stuff that they've never talked about on anybody else's shows, and I really enjoyed it. And it's going to be a freebie up on our television network in the future. And let's see what else is going on. Oh, God. Oh, UFO Con 2021. The dates have been set for March 5th, 6th, and 7th, somewhere in the Bay Area. And Dave, I'm having the worst time. No one will give me a contract for any place because of COVID. So we'll just see how it plays out. I may have it in my backyard. I don't know.
Works for me.
Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do, but whatever we do, it'll still happen, okay?
Perfect.
Hoping to get you, yeah, I want you down there this year to be our broadcaster for the event.
Okay.
I always have a radio show down there for the show. So, anyhow, you got to be that guy.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
Or you can just come down for a vacation.
I don't know. Maybe. Maybe
okay.
I should. Maybe
yeah,
I shouldn't.
Maybe you should. Yeah.
We'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. All right. Lorien Fenton is here. We're talking all weird, strange things tonight. Lorien, I got to ask you this. In regards to everybody that you have dealt with over your 30-plus years of investigating this phenomena, what conclusions, and there are very few out there, but what conclusions have you drawn up?
Conclusions? Well, I think we kind of covered that a little bit about the soul thing. I'm heading down that road that this is all kind of like Maya, an illusion, and that the aliens are controlling it, and there's a good faction, a bad faction, and we've got to get out of their cycle of, reincarnation to be here to take care of them. I mean, basically, I think we're still slaves. I think it's quite interesting how they talk about the Anunnaki and everybody creating us to be slaves to get the gold. Well, I think it's more than that. I think we're slaves for their energetic purposes at this point. And I mean, come on, Dave, think about it this way. Would we be in the state we're in right now if every baby that was born didn't have some kind of thing happen to them to make them good or evil? I mean, I was born, I never knew about evil. I didn't even know it existed. And how is it that some kids are born and they start growing up into this evil like a Jeffrey Dahmer type of thing? And you're sitting here going, what happened to them? There's got to be some kind of evil on this planet that is putting that into people. It isn't like you're born that way. I don't think. I think there's something here doing it. That's just my opinion. I don't know. I mean, I could be totally wrong. It could be genetics. We could be born and just, turn into, a cannibal, by the time we're 16 because of our genetics. I don't know, It's very strange to me how I look at little babies and I think, how could one grow up to be a monster and the other one not? It's just something's here. Something's intervening with us on some level. And I think the aliens, when they're communicating with us, I think they're trying to tell us this. I think they're trying to inform us the best way they can without freaking us out.
That is heavy. So what do we actually know, Lorien? What do we actually know?
We know very little, but I can tell you this. We know from the movie Phenomenon that the government has had pieces of a UFO since, God, probably before 47 at Roswell, but probably before that they have been trying to deal with for years and years and years now, trying to figure out what makes it tick, what it is, and how it functions. I have a great story for you, and I think I've said it on the show before, but it bears repeating. The reason I believe that Bob Lazar was telling the truth when he came out as the Dennis character in the van all blacked out, I had heard a story 2 years. It was 1990 when I heard this story from a friend who lived in Las Vegas, and he befriended a guy who said that he was a scientist out at Area 51 back in the 80s. And he had retired from there. Now, he met him vicariously through a church, and don't ask me all the details. All I know is that by the time my friend met this man, he was retired from Area 51 and he was dying from cancer. And I think the priest or the pastor at their church put them together. I think that's how it all started, but I don't remember for sure. But I think that's it. And my friend started meeting with this ex-scientist at Area 51 once a week until about a week before he died. And I think it went on for only 3 months because he died pretty quickly. And so he had 12 meetings with him, and he told him all kinds of things about what happened out at Area 51. He told him about a bunch of them had died in some kind of mishap out there. So when Bob Lazar said that the scientists that he replaced were because they had a mishap at the Area 51 and a bunch of them had died, I was like, holy crap, I've heard that before, right? So I was like, oh my God. So I knew, somebody's telling the truth, okay? So why would this scientist at Area 51 before Bob make up this story? So he's telling my friend this, and he also told him this story. Out of all the things I remember, this is the one I remember the best. He went to work one day. He gets there, and they said, get your go bag, you're going to South America. So they put him on a carrier plane or whatever, they fly him down there. They land in South America near one of the monuments. At the time, it had just been discovered. I don't know what it was. This was the mid-'80s. Who knows what it was? It had a big field in front of it, and they had kept all the tourists out. They were at a CIA landing strip, by the way. I didn't know that much. And they take him out to this field at this monument, this pyramid structure out in the middle of freaking nowhere. And there's a guy that shows up, and he's really tall and thin, and he has very translucent white skin, big eyes, and he's like 7 feet tall, or a little over 7 feet. He's like between 7 and 8 feet tall. And this guy's huge. He's carrying a briefcase, and back then it was not common to have a metal briefcase, but that's what he had. And he shows up, and the scientist dude meets him, and he says, I'm going to teach you something, because they were having trouble with the propulsion system, just like Bob Lazar was having, apparently. And he opens up the briefcase. He takes this, what the scientist described to my friend as what the size of a loaf of bread of metal, and it looked like a loaf of bread, that kind of shape. He walks it out about 150 feet out to the middle of the field, walks back, and then he says, okay, pay attention. And he just thinks it, and this thing turns into a spaceship. Okay? It goes from being a loaf of bread to a spaceship that's like 30 feet in diameter, and it's perfectly smooth, and it's just this giant silver thing sitting there. And, of course, the scientist is stunned. And then he takes it and he says, okay, now watch this. And he shrinks it back down to a loaf of bread size. So the scientist, he's standing there with his mouth open going, what? And the alien described to him that it's a metal that is not from Earth, that we now know from the movie Phenomenon is the truth. And he says it's mixed with an organic material that is alive, and that's how he communicates with it. And it does what they do together as a unit. Like they connect on an organic level, and it does what they ask them to do. And that goes along with what all the other contactees say about flying the ship, is once you start flying the ship, you're connected with the ship itself, and it's organic and it's working with you, okay? And the alien dude says to the scientists also, and I found this to be the most fascinating of everything about this story. He said, the organic material is only similar. The only thing I can come up with a similarity on your planet is it's fungus that is consciousness. Like you guys have fungus that grows in the earth and mushrooms and all that. He goes, ours is the kind of a fungus, but it's alive. It's got its own consciousness. It can communicate with us, and it can change form and structure. And we combine it with our metal materials, and it becomes a conscious metallic structure. And I was like, oh my God, this is like the answer to the universe. I'm hearing this back in, 1990. And I'm like, oh my God. Now, I didn't take it for sure that my friend was telling the whole truth about this story. And the funny part to the story is that the alien asked the scientist to think it into something. And the scientist said that it felt like he was connecting with another consciousness that became part of him when he did make it turn into something. And it says it wasn't as pretty as what the alien had made, obviously, because he'd never done it before, but he was able to do it. And the reason they took him down there to do this was because they were hoping that the material they were working with was the same as this alien's material. Apparently the aliens were not going to give them the answer full blown, like, here's how it works. And I don't know why. And that's the part of the story that always bugged me, because I thought, well, if it's true, then, why did they come and show them all this and then take the loaf of bread away, or the loaf of alien material away, and leave them stuck with trying to figure out the propulsion? So I never did know if it was real or not. I mean, it was a great story, but I'll tell you what, when Bob Lazar said some of the things he said, I thought, oh my God, it's got to be true. It's just got to be true. And one of these days, I'm going to try to find out if it's true or not. I got to do some digging and see if anybody knows the real answers. So there you go. But why did I even tell you that story?
You just wanted to go off on a tangent. That's nothing new. That's nothing new. And we love that. One
of my great stories. Yeah. Anyhow, well, you asked me something about why you think this is happening, and I think that. I think the government has known, and this is back in 1990, you guys. So in the 80s, they're working on that propulsion system. Oh, I know why I brought it up. Because the secret space program has got to exist. I mean, so many people argue with me about that, and I've always been on the fence about it. I've always said, well, it could be, it couldn't be. I believe this, I don't believe that, I don't know, whatever. And finally, I just sat myself down literally one night about 6 months ago, and I said, do you believe there's a secret space program or not? You've got to start telling people what you think. And I thought, I do believe there is one. I have seen a black triangle craft that did amazing things, and I didn't feel it was alien. I just felt in the moment that it was human. I felt like humans were driving it. And I didn't feel that they were alone. I felt like it was humans and aliens, but it didn't have a feeling of like when the aliens are contacting me with downloads, or people are walking through my walls, or, I'm seeing a ghost, or, whatever it is that I've encountered. I just didn't get that feeling from it. I got a very military feeling out of it, actually, that it was a military craft and it was ours. And here's a funny part to that, and I don't know if I'm going to tell you guys. Whatever. I'm at a conference, and there is a guy that worked for all these CIA guys, and we're chatting away, and we're talking about black triangle UFOs. And he's talking to somebody else in the moment, and he goes, well, describe your black triangle, and I did. And everybody else turned away from the two of us, and he's sitting there, and he looks up at me, and this is a guy who should never open his mouth about anything, right? This is a guy that I did not expect this question. He says to me, Lorien, was it ours or theirs? And I said, it was ours. He goes, oh, okay. That's all he said. But Dave, it was like he had given me the answer to stuff I've been looking for 50 years. I mean, I swear to God, I was almost blown over. I completely smiled at him, and I said goodbye, I'll talk to you again soon, and left. And I was like, oh my God, one of the insiders just told me there's a secret space program. You know, it was like, he did not say to me, oh, you're crazy, there's no triangles, blah, blah, blah. All he said was it ours or theirs? That's all he had to say, you know? He didn't break any of his oath. He didn't do anything wrong. He just asked me a question. It was beautiful.
It's a beautiful little piece of confirmation that you got there.
Oh, it was. And I thank God every day for that. And if he's listening, thank you, because you made my life. I mean, literally. I mean, it answered it for me. It made it solid and real for me. It was like that time that I was dealing with the mind control stuff, and the woman who had been dealing with it looked at me one day and said, maybe you don't want to know about it. Maybe you don't want to know what happened to you. And I thought to myself, well, geez, maybe I don't. Maybe I don't want to know this, because if I do, can I undo it? Can I ever go backwards? No, I can't. So I don't want to know. And I'm perfectly fine with that. And if she hadn't said it to me, I may have spent the rest of my life going, why me? Why me? What happened? Oh, good. You know, like a lot of people do. And I didn't want to end up like that. So,
Lorien, we have about 3.5 minutes left with you tonight. And it's been a show that, once again, has flown on by. I don't know how fast or why it goes so fast, but it just seems to do that. I'm curious, with everything going on, with COVID and everything, how has that affected your research?
Oh, my God. Well, see, my research has become very focused on me since that happened, which sadly I didn't want it to be, but it has. I haven't had time to sit in and be on the phone with people and go over their experiences. But you know what, Dave, I'm at the point now that I've been doing this for so long that I really don't need to do as much as I did before. I mean, it's kind of, I hate to say this, it's kind of like I think I've heard almost everything, but hey, I got to tell you that has been changing too, because I'm starting to hear stories that I've never heard pieces of before. Like different things are starting to happen to people. Just like over the last 20 years, I believe that the sightings of UFOs has completely changed to what it was 40 years ago. 40 years ago, they're seeing silver crafts and they're seeing smaller orbs. Now we're seeing plasma ships and not as many of the Billy Meyer type ships. Those just aren't seen anymore. All we're seeing is black triangles and plasma ships. So, I mean, yeah, there's the occasional cigar shape and the occasional triangle, circle or what have you, but more than likely, if you look at the MUFON statistics from MUFON, they're starting to be plasmas or star-shaped or, what have you. So, anyhow, as far as affecting me, if I get some new kind of information coming along, that's great, but I'm not seeking it out like I used to. I still have people email me through my website with extraordinary experiences, and the best thing I can do for them is get them on air talking about it. I try to, anybody who comes to me and has an extraordinary experience, I'm the first one to say, come on my radio show and let's talk about it. And we usually have a good time, and it's a lot of fun. And if you've got something great to talk about, I'd love to have you.
Well, that's always nice. And I want to say thank you so much for coming on in on such short notice because, as you know, with a show host, when the original guest backs out, you got to make a show happen. You just can't say, well, I'm not going to do one tonight. You can't do that. You got to run with it and roll with it.
Yeah, no, I'm always happy to help out, and I hope the audience is enjoying tonight, and I just hope you guys are having a good time.
Oh, they always are. They always are. Lorien Fenton, I want to say thank you for coming on. We got about 40 seconds left. Tell everybody where they can find your website, your conferences.
Oh, yeah, go to UFOcon2020.com. I still have it up there for about another month, so if you want to buy it, you can see Dave speaking and everybody else. That's UFOcon2020.com. And then go to LorienFenton.com if you want to be in the implant removal TV show, or if you want to come on my radio show and talk about your experiences, anything, just get a hold of me through LorienFenton.com.
Wonderful. Lorien, we will talk to you very, very soon because we love you around here and you always got time for us and we always have time for you. So thank you so much for coming on. Coming up next on Spaced Out Radio, yes, we are going to get to the SOR Newswire and the thought of the day. How about a gnome going into space? Yeah, apparently so. Apparently so. We will get to it as we turn the corner and go into the final half hour of tonight's show. Stay tuned. More Spaced Out Radio coming up. Lorien Fenton, everybody. Let's just have a clap.
Thank you. Hey, you want to call me after the show tonight?
Yeah, I can call you.
Yeah, call me back. I'll be sitting here waiting for I'm going to clean my desk, and I've got to get my newsletter going. So.
Sure. I'm going to be a little bit. I just have to edit this show and get it ready for the radio stations after, so it'll probably be about 12:30, if that's okay.
That's fine. No problem. Okay. You know, we have to talk. So.
Yep. I'll call you back.
Okay, thanks a lot for having me.
Thank you.
Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Love her. Love her. And you know what? Honestly, if you want to go to a very, very good conference, probably one of the best out there, go to San Francisco. Dave, you're getting you spaceship ride? Excuse me. Maybe. Hey, Super Quest. How you doing, brother? Good to have you here, my man. Much love to you. Love me some Super Quest. Testing. Oh, there it is. Didn't see any audio coming through. Terrible Times. Good to have you here. My man, Eugene Braxton. Great book. Very good book. Hey, Eugene, make sure you put your book name in the chat room so everybody can go find it on Amazon. One of the best reads you'll have, everyone. Brilliant, brilliant piece of research and writing by Eugene there. I'm hungry. I had salad and chicken tonight. And my neck is killing me. Anybody want to come on over to SOR HQ and give old Davey a massage? I could use one. Thank you, Nikki. My ears are hurting me because my head is so sore from the chiropractor a couple days. Was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. My head is so sore that wearing the headphones actually hurts tonight. I know. 2.5 minutes. I'm surprised the lovely and talented Nicole Sackich is still awake. Oh, no. This guy's good to me, Jenna. He's very good. Just my body was really beat up from going out and getting firewood. The hair is kind of wild tonight. Thank you. Is that Grandma Rose there, Fapster? Oh. Excuse me. I'm going to pop some Motrin after this. All right, guys, here we go. 15 seconds. Thanks, Reverend Keith, once again for the awesome super chat. Really do appreciate that, my friend. Thanks to everybody who's given us a thumbs up tonight. Hope you've enjoyed this show. And here we go. Rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Dave Scott's my name. Talking the woo is my game. I appreciate each and every one of you tuning us on in. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Speaking of the news, let's do this thing, shall we? The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and sometimes fantastic. Back in April, a group of astronomers spotted a short, powerful blast of radio waves coming from outer space. Outer space. Yes, I said that correctly. Outer space. Outer space. There we go. And then successfully found where it was coming from, a powerful object within our own galaxy. It's the first time scientists have been able to pinpoint these mysterious radio waves coming from inside the Milky Way, making them the closest of their kind that we've ever seen. The radio waves, known as fast radio bursts, or FRBs, seem to have sprouted from an incredibly powerful zombie star lurking in our galaxy. Zombie star. Called a neutron star, the object is a super dense leftover that forms when a massive star bigger than our own sun collapses in on itself. Oh, this is a zombie star. This sounds like the Death Star. Anyways, but this neutron star is what's known as a magnetar. It hosts an incredibly powerful magnetic field that stores mind-boggling amounts of energy capable of distorting the shapes of atoms. Sounds like it may need some freedom, America. Yes, tracking down the source of this FRB is a huge moment for astronomers who are eager to figure out how this mystifying radio flashes come to be. FRBs are thought to appear once every second in the night sky, flaring just a few milliseconds at a time. But we've only seen a tiny fraction of these phenomena at play, and all of the bursts we have seen have apparently stemmed from outside our galaxy, with some located billions of light years away. That's made it difficult to figure out exactly where they're coming from. They're these very mysterious signals. Let's just call it what it is. It's aliens. We got aliens around here. You may not want to admit it. I may not want to. Yes, I do want to admit it, but we got aliens, okay? You got aliens t-shirts at the SOR store. Go get them now. Now, with this discovery, astronomers have a much closer source to work with. The magnetar is located just 30,000 light years away. It's in our own backyard, cosmically speaking, and it points to a solid connection between magnetars and these dynamic space radio waves. This is the missing link, Kiyoshi Masui says. Now we've seen a fast radio burst coming from a magnetar, so it proves that at least some fraction of fast radio bursts we've seen in the universe excuse me, what caused that? Oh my goodness. Yes, we've seen in the universe come from magnetars. Wonderful. Just wonderful. Now, Gabe Newell, president of Valve, the video game company behind the Half-Life series and game marketplace Steam, is thanking the country of New Zealand for its hospitality by launching a gnome into space with the aerospace company Rocket Lab in mid-November. Newell decided to stay in New Zealand at the start of the pandemic and is donating $1 to the pandemic or pediatric intensive care unit at Starship Children's Hospital for every viewer who watches the satellite launch live stream on the online recording within 24 hours of the launch. This soon-to-be astronaut gnome is actually a 150-millimeter tall garden gnome, or Gnome Chomsky. We call him Ad Gnome around here, an item that first appeared in Half-Life 2, Episode 2, but achieved meme status following the speed runs and travel logs that popped up around it. The gnome was likely a reference to an older prank involving photographing stolen garden gnomes traveling around the world, which gained further popularity when it was seemingly referenced in Amelie and when it served as the basis of Travelocity's Where's My Gnome virtual ad campaign. Chomsky's gone on to appear in Valve's own Left 4 Dead 2 and more recently Half-Life Alyx. But this upcoming real-life rocket launch is a fitting homage to the Little Rocket Man achievement associated with the gnome from Episode 2. The achievement can only be unlocked if a player carries the gnome from the opening chapter of the game and places it in a rocket ship near the end, a task that's difficult because the player who has set the gnome down to complete Half-Life's environmental puzzles and combat scenarios. The launch-ready version of the gnome is co-designed by Special Effects at Propo's Weta Workshop and made from titanium. Rocket Lab hopes to use it to test and qualify a novel 3D printing technique that could be employed for future spacecraft components. That's kind of cool. A lot of pressure on that garden gnome going into space. Love this story. The traumatized pangolins arrived in Johannesburg Wildlife Clinic, emaciated and badly injured. They are lucky ones. Rescued from poachers, they will survive thanks to a dedicated team of volunteers who tend to their wounds, feed them, and coax them back to health. Pangolins are unique creatures, the world's only mammals with scales. They're sometimes called scaly anteaters, although they're not related. Like armadillos, they could roll up into balls of armored balls. Amazingly, their tongues can be longer than their bodies. Pangolins aren't well known, and yet they are among the most poached and illegally trafficked animals in the world. While the species like rhinoceros and elephant often headline anti-poaching efforts in Africa, experts warn these little critters, about half the size of a small cat, well, actually about the size of a house cat, really, are targeted more and nearing extinction because of the high demand for their scales in traditional medicines in Asia. The African Pangolin Working Group in South Africa, a team of veterinarians and wildlife experts, have been rehabilitating pangolins rescued from poachers for nearly a decade. When we've receive these pangolins, they are always compromised, whether they have been with poachers for a few days or sometimes up to 2 weeks, said Nikki Wright, a wildlife rehabilitation expert. Some are very emaciated. They've got wounds and they've got injuries, and it's very pitiful and very difficult to emotionally deal with that kind of suffering and abuse. The animals are often caught in crude snares, and recently the group received a pangolin cut deeply through its torso by a snare, almost from stomach to back, said Wright. The animals are treated, put on a drip for rehydration, tube-fed a specially designed recovery diet, and sedated so they sleep for up to 48 hours. Then they are moved to undisclosed locations so the wildlife hospital isn't targeted by poachers. They have been looked at, poked, prodded, shipped around from place to place, opened up, and looked at again, said Wright. Rest is most important thing for these creatures next to physical recovery. Pangolins are intriguing creatures. The scales are made of keratin, the same substance in human fingernails, and are incredibly tough. That extra long and dexterous tongue is an expert ant-eating catching tool. When not in use, it rolls back into a special sheath in the pangolin's chest cavity. Shy animals, pangolins will curl up into a tight ball when threatened. It is a useful defense mechanism against predators and also protects against swarming ants if dinner time gets out of hand, but it makes them easier to catch and transport by poachers. The pangolin group's chairman, Professor Raymond Jensen, recorded 97 tons of pangolin scales seized from smugglers trying to take them out of Africa just last year alone, equating to about 150,000 poached animals. That's just disgusting. Just disgusting. It doesn't work, Asia. It doesn't work. Try some real medicine for once. Oregon, by the way, speaking of medicine, has become the first state in the United States to decriminalize personal possession of all drugs, while Washington, D.C. allows consumption from magic mushrooms, and New Jersey and Arizona legalized the devil's lettuce for recreational use. Welcome to 2020 United States. Yes, the move to decriminalize hard drugs, including heroin and meth in Oregon, as well as legalizing the use of psilocybin, mushrooms, passed by 2 large margins. Known as Measure 110, it will completely change how Oregon's justice system treats those who are found with personal use amounts of the hard drugs. Today's victory is a landmark declaration that the time has come to stop criminalizing people for drug use, said Cassandra Frederick, executive director of the Drug Policy Alliance, which was behind the hard drug measure, meaning that Measure 110 is arguably the best blow to the war on drugs to date. Under the new measures, instead of going to trial and facing possible jail time, a person found with hard drugs in their possession will have the option of paying a $100 fine or attending a new addiction recovery center. The centers will be funded by millions of dollars of tax revenue from the legalized regulated marijuana industry in the state that was the country's first to decriminalize marijuana possession. This is such a big step in moving forward to a health-based approach instead of criminal punishment, and we are devoting significant new resources to help Oregonians who need it, said Janie Gullickson. It's a 59% yes vote to 41% no, with roughly 1.9 million votes counted, according to unofficial partial results from the Secretary of State. Among those in support of the Oregon measure were the Oregon Nurses Association and the Oregon chapter of the American College of Physicians. Let's get back to ants for a minute, shall we? Recently, a team of researchers noticed something odd about ants. Every time the insect swallowed food or water, guess what it would do? Start cleaning its gland around its butthole. Yes, Captain Shirk got us a butthole story tonight. The behavior didn't seem to be linked to digestion because ants do this even after they've only ingested water, according to zoologist Simon Tragust. Yeah, so Tragust and his colleagues decided to see what would happen if they prevented the ants from being able to touch their own butts. They allowed Florida carpenter ants to feed first and then immobilized them with ice. When ants get too cold, they stop moving but are fine again once they heat up, and tested their digestive system pH levels. The ants' acid levels dropped when ants were unable to suck up the poisonous substance called formic acid that oozes from their butthole for an acidophore on their abdomens. Yeah. Carpenter ants used formic acid to disable prey, smearing it in after biting their own poor victim with their powerful mandibles. But formic acid is best known for how ants use it as a weapon against predators, with some species, like wood ants, capable of hurling this poison at their enemies' faces. Some birds take advantage of this behavior by getting the ants to spray them, thus ridding themselves of pests. We humans also use formic acid as an antibacterial agent in livestock feed, pesticides, wart removal, and have even found it for potential future energy technologies. It seems that ants, like us, have been using it for multiple purposes too, including as a chemical disinfectant. They use formic acid to keep their nests hygienic and clean their babies with their buttholes, and keeping it spread of harmful fungi in check. The new study shows that they use this acid to keep their innards parasite-free. Wonderful. Wonderful. I'm still not doing it myself. I can't bend that way. I just can't. Vijaya Amrute, you may not know her. She's a lovely woman from the western Indian state of Maharashtra. And her husband both lost their jobs amid COVID-19 lockdowns in March. The lockdown restrictions started easing in phased manner since June. To deal with their financial hardships they were facing, Amrute decided to join a marriage racket. She allegedly married 3 men within 3 months and then ran away with their money and valuables. Very ballsy of her. According to news reports in the local area, she first married a man named Yogesh and fled with his valuables within a fortnight. Next, she married a man named Sandeep and vanished within a few days to find her third prospect. It was only when Shirsath went looking for his wife that he found out she had already married another man and duped him as well. Shirsath registered a police complaint, which led to Amrut being arrested on October 31st. Not a good Halloween for her. Upon investigation, it was revealed that she operated with the help of a matchmaking couple who would bring her men for prospective brides and solemnize their marriages by charging them between 200,000 and 500,000 rupees. That goes between 2,760 American dollars and 6,676. Marriage scams have become a common form of fraud in India. There have been at least 2 other reported cases of such marriages in the northern Indian cities of Chandigarh and Ludhiana during a lockdown. In September this year, a woman identified as Monica Malik was caught after scamming 8 senior citizens into marrying her and then running away with their valuables. Now, that's just not nice. Not nice at all. Near billionaire off of Bitcoin, as the world braced for the long election night that effectively hasn't ended yet, someone emptied out one of the most valuable digital wallets in the world. On Tuesday, whoever is in control of the Bitcoin address, and there's a bunch of letters and numbers there, transferred all its contents, a staggering $964 million worth of Bitcoin. At this point, it's impossible to know whether it was just a heist or just a long-dormant owner of the wallet moving out their savings to another wallet. The wallet that has been an object of speculation of cryptocurrency enthusiasts for years. Until the transfer, it was one of the most valuable Bitcoin addresses in existence. More recently, several hackers have been trying to break into it, trying to brute force the passcode that protects the wallet in an attempt to steal the funds. Now that the money is gone, move to another Bitcoin address, and we will never know what happened unless the person ordered the transfer comes out publicly. $964 million in Bitcoin. Amazing. A hospitality college in Indonesia is offering students hard hit by the economic slowdown a chance to pay their tuition in coconuts and other natural materials. Good for them. The Venus One Tourism Academy said students facing financial hardships will be allowed to pay their tuition and other fees by bringing in coconuts that the school uses to harvest virgin coconut oil. Officials say students can also pay fees with moringa leaves and gotu kola leaves, which are used to make products like herbal soap. The products made from the coconuts and other materials will be sold on campus to raise funds for the schools, officials said. The school says it has implemented numerous safety measures to remain open during COVID-19, including mandatory mask wearing, reduced class sizes, and frequent temperature checks. And finally tonight, another reason not to go in the ocean, and this time it has nothing to do with sharks. 2 kayakers, uninjured, and I don't know how they weren't, when they briefly ended up in the mouth of a humpback whale that surfaced beneath them. Julie McSorley and Liz Cotterill said they were kayaking and whale watching off the coast of Avila Beach when the whale surfaced from underneath their boat. A video recorded by the witness shows the women and the kayak in the whale's mouth before they all disappeared under the surface of the water. I saw a big pool of fish, the bait ball coming out of the water, McSorley said. I saw the whale come up. I thought, oh no, it's too close. All of a sudden, I lifted up. I was in the water. The pair said they ended up capsized in the water as the whale left them behind. The video makes it appear as though the women are being swallowed by the whale, but they are considerably larger than the animal's usual diet of krill and small fishes. McSorley and Cotterill made their way back to shore uninjured. You know what? If you got whales, leave them be. They're great creatures. Just let them be. Let them feed. All right? Otherwise, they could eat you. Did they ever see Moby Dick? Thought of the Day happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Day is as follows. What's the biggest paranormal mystery you'd like to see solved, and why? Oh, it sounds like a good one today, Dave. Sounds like a real good one. Let's see what we got. Marty, I want the Bigfoot mystery to be solved once and for all because there is another human-like species still alive and roaming the earth. We should know about them and protect them. Thank you for the clown, Marty. Joseph, where did the missing socks go? Oh, that's a good one. Very good one. Solid, Joseph. Solid on Twitter. Jeremy, Bigfoot. It is something that has perplexed us forever. Davey, Atlantis. It underlies so many other mysteries. Alex, we'd actually have to want answers and actively do something about it in a progressive manner first. Oh, Mr. Negative, put your shirt back on. Stephen, actually, I'll read this one. This is kind of cool. USA election. Why are these two cryptids being voted on? Oh, my goodness. Oh, that's funny. Becky, the Dyatlov Pass mystery. Those young people were mauled and nearly naked. What happened to them? Gabe, the mystery of people vanishing, going missing. We want to know who or what is taking these people and why. John, the Bermuda Triangle and other such triangles throughout the world. James, Mothman, but in the meantime, make a good trap line with mothballs. Kimberly wants to know about the Bermuda Triangle as well. Gail, is Stonehenge paranormal? No matter. I would just like to know how those big rocks got stacked and by whom. Rob, it's a toss-up between Atlantis and the Sphinx. I would say it's more like your brother looking like a gnome there, Rob. Yes, I went there. Danny, I want to know about the Dyatlov Pass as well. Tim, he likes David Politis' missing 411 people and those incredible mysteries. I don't blame you there, Tim. Kevin, the mystery of the Garden of Eden. Was it a miracle garden area or was it a controlled lab setting? Reverend Keith, is the Pennsylvania groundhog Puxatawny Phil Butch Witkowski's spiritual animal? We'll have to look into that. Park, human existence in our present form on planet Earth. And finally, we go with Ron. Chupacabra. I'm tired of all the little giggles coming from the shed. Some of us have to work in the morning. Okay. Well, big thank you to everybody who took part in the Thought of the Day on Facebook and Twitter. We'll do it all again very, very soon, as you all know. And a big thanks to Captain Shirk for getting us ready on the SOR Newswire, which she does daily. You can check it out on our website. And, of course, Lorien Fenton for coming on in, checking things out, hanging out with us, talking all things UFO. You can find her website at lorienfenton.com. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, in your cars, at work, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone participating in our chat rooms tonight on Spreaker, YouTube, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club at our website, and all the Snarkers and Snarkettes on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You were marvelous tonight. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But tomorrow, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, yeah, we got room for them too. Good night.